All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Serious Angler Podcast, where we talk everything bassin and have a dang good time doing it. We are back with the captain, the bassin captain, leading the way for us here, Mr. Andy Full, and I'm your host, Bailey Eichbrett. Andy, I figured it's been a minute. We always say welcome back to the Serious Angler Podcast, but in going back, we do a little insights for people. We do for our partners. We do quarterly reports and everything. Show them how bad we suck. You know how much, how many episodes
the
only
last month has been terrible.
Yeah, how many episodes only our parents have listened to on this podcast. But we like to show our different brand partners that. And I saw how many new people were coming to the show, and so I was like, man, we keep saying welcome back to the podcast. We kind of get in this regimen of show after show, and I'm like, we got to almost reintroduce some of this. So we'll have some shows coming up that'll be about that, but I figured we alter the introduction a little bit and just say welcome to Serious Angler versus welcome back. We hope we get to say welcome back next week to anybody that's new to the show. But Andy, we have a fun one coming up today. Obviously we got to get through some show notes here, but we got our pal Mr. Ty Berger from BassFishingHQ coming on to talk some summer to fall transition, because that can be a tricky time but also a very fun time to be bassing. And who better than the greatest teacher of bass fishing on YouTube right now, Mr. Ty Berger.
Channel is unreal.
Yeah, dude. I mean, if you guys aren't subscribed to Bass Fishing HQ, chances are you either don't care to learn anything about bass fishing or you live under a rock. Yes. One of the two. But either way, Ty's a great teacher, but also a really good dude and a great friend of ours, and glad to get him on here. And I was telling him, Andy, I think he might be almost part-time Serious Angler Network at this point with how many shows he's been on the Lure Lab and Serious Angler at this point. But it's for good reason, because he's a damn good angler and a great teacher, like we just mentioned. So, and then afterwards with Ty, we're getting on our pal Trevor Lo, guide over in Minnesota, and then Jordan Thomspon down over in Gville, and we're going to do a little best fall baits bracket. So you guys have seen us do the brackets in the past.
For that,
yeah, it has been. I was sitting there, I'm like, man, we've just been so busy, and it's like I felt like the shows weren't stale, but like they were lacking some of the old stuff that we did and kickstarted last year. So I brought back the bracket. We're gonna have some fun over the next few weeks, and we're gonna do some fall baits, and we're gonna be running through a whole bunch of that. And of course, all that stuff will be linked down to Omnia below. So if you guys want to go take advantage of any of the baits we're talking about today, you can do so. We got some people rolling into the comments here. Some of the people are on every single show, and appreciate y'all. Mr. Higgs, Michael Bradley, appreciate you guys joining in. Mr. Higgs says it's my fault that we're late. Yes, it is always my fault. That is for dang sure.
I filled that in. Don't worry.
Yeah, I see that. We got Mike here, says, Bailey, how come you didn't do the New York State Kayak Invitationals? So this was an interesting one. Essentially, Mike, what happened? I qualified for that invitational. Was really looking forward to fishing that. And for folks who don't know what that is, here in New York State, all the different kayak trails, their top 10 angler of the year come together at the end of the year in the fall for one last invitational event. It's your top 10 AOIs, and everybody competes. And then you have like a team. You have an individual champion and a team champion. And so obviously I qualified with NYKBF and Slay, had the choice of who to fish for. But unfortunately, originally was supposed to happen was my wife and I were supposed to fly out to Oregon with my parents and go watch Oregon versus Michigan State. My dad and I are big Oregon football fans, and originally we're going to do that. yeah, Ty, you and I are not going to be. I see him down in the queue. He's an Ohio State fan, and we're not going to be friends this coming weekend, but it'll just be for a couple hours. Because for people to know, Oregon's now Big Ten, and it's going to be.
I'll be the neutral party here. I'm just a lover of college football. I don't care who's playing, and whoever's team I'm like buddies with. Like, if it's Michigan or Ohio State, I'll just text them whatever it is and be like, go red or go blue.
Talk crap.
Like, no, not even talk crap. I'm just on their side for that day.
Oh, and so you're just Team Switzerland, is what you're saying?
Yes, I just embody like. I think I mentioned it before on the show. Like, I have a dream. Right here we go, MLK chat. But I have a dream that one day I will visit like all the top 25 loudest college football stadiums and just like embrace the atmosphere. It's something I've always wanted to do, and I have like a bucket list, like top 10 that I need to go to eventually.
Dude, we should get. I have to look at the schedule. Ty might even be able to tell us. But I don't know if Ohio State's at or home against Penn State this year. But we should, if it's at Penn State or even if it's at Ohio State, we should go do that.
Or away, so it doesn't matter.
Whatever. But I know the Penn State home games, like the whiteout games. I think that's usually Michigan.
It's got to be a Friday night, I think, for the whiteout. But yeah, I'm in.
Either way, I'm with it, dude. I want to go see like the Virginia Tech, Enter Sandman. Yeah. I want to go see all. I'm with you, man.
So like I got like Camp Randall, like Wisconsin Badgers is on that list. Michigan, not so much, but I do want to go to an OSU game. I want to go to a Penn State game. Florida State. I want to go to an Alabama game. Exactly. Exactly. Got to go to Tennessee for a Rocky Top game.
Hey, speaking of that, sorry to cut you off. We're going tangents galore. Okay, we need to bring Ty in before we go do this because Ty, we got to bring you on the college football talk because we're going to go on tangents for a while here, and we want to talk a summer to fall transition, but it is fall and it's college football season, so we got
football time. It's football time.
Yeah,
like always football time.
Mike, I promise you, this is going to come full circle here for your question. I promise. But Ty, good to see you, pal. First and foremost, bring you on here. So talking about the college football thing and the Vols. So Abby Garcia did something pretty cool. They did the first college rivalry event. And essentially what they did is they took the University of Tennessee and the University of Florida, who Florida's traveling to Tennessee this week to play at Tennessee. I'm flying there Friday to go work this event, and it's going to be pretty cool. They're doing this whole thing. They had a head-to-head matchup live, the two college teams live streamed. They got Peyton Manning to hype them up and everything. It was a pretty cool deal for college fishing, and it's piggybacked off of the football game this weekend. But I get to go see my first Tennessee game this weekend against Florida.
You have to take a video of you singing Rocky Top, all right? Like, it just has to happen.
I will do my best. I will do my best. I'm trying to talk Rudd into coming with me because I don't know the words.
That's not going to take much convincing to go to a UT game.
No. But it'll be cool. I know Josh Dobbs will be there too, so it's gonna be a cool experience. It's a cool thing that they're doing for college fishing and fishing in general. But essentially, to get back to the question here with Mike, I was supposed to go on this trip to go see the Ducks play, and that got canceled because I had a work trip. Because of this hurricane, work trip gets canceled. And by the time my work trip got canceled, the teams had filled up, so I couldn't fish the Invitational. So instead I had to watch, but I got to watch from a tree stand, so it was okay. I got to go deer hunting instead.
Did you shoot a deer?
No, I didn't.
Wasn't worth it.
No, I didn't. So it was a mission fail, but that's okay. But yeah, that's why I did not fish that. And real fast, Brad, my family did make it out. Yes, most of them so far. House is not going to be looking good at the moment, but we're trying to keep positive. So it's thoughts are with everybody down in Florida right now that's going through another freaking hurricane. It is unbelievable what they're going through right now. Craziness, man.
Yep.
Super long-winded, but Ty. Well, dude, I don't know what it is with this year. I don't know. This is Andy's rabbit hole because he's Mr. Weatherman. But this whole, what is it? Nino winter?
Well,
Andy?
It's a transition from El Nino into La Nina.
Got it. Okay. I've heard this could be the reason why there's been so many hurricanes, crazy storms.
It 100% is because basically it's all based on where the jet stream is and like your continental wind shifts and patterns, etc. That it's just creating an atmosphere down around the equator to Florida that basically has zero wind shear and tons of wind across like the upper 48 that just allows it to funnel down and just make these storms pop. Virtually is like the short-ended answer.
Okay.
And with the Gulf being 90 degrees, like surface temp and down 100 feet, that doesn't help.
Did you guys get any of that storm, Ty, up at you in Ohio?
Yeah, the last one, I mean, we definitely just had rain. I mean, it rained on us which honestly was good because we went through, I think a lot of the country went through really about 2 months of like pretty much a drought. At least we did. Like we had no rain for the longest time. And so my grass was like completely dead. Not that I'm like huge into grass, but at the same time, I don't like it so crispy. And so, but yeah, no, we got some rain. And then like you said, I mean, we had this spring, we had like some tornadoes in our area, which is just not frequent in Ohio at all. Like there is definitely tornadoes that happen, but this spring it was like there was one that was like a couple miles from me, and that like never happens. There was one that took out a little town close to us at on Indian Lake. Like it was crazy. This weather has been crazy. So,
oh shoot, we almost got. I had 2 miles from my house. A tornado this year, which is like New York. Tornadoes in New York are not in the same equation.
We had 21 tornadoes in upstate New York. I think it might have actually been 26, but I think like 21 of them were like Syracuse to west, which never really happens. It's always Syracuse to Albany. There's like a plateau range that they get like 5 or 6 a year, but it's the most tornadoes that New York has ever had in a single year. I was like, might as well call it Oklahoma. Like it was just wild. Every day for like 2 weeks, there was a tornado outbreak, like 3 or 4 a day. I'm like, this is ridiculous.
That's what La Nina will bring you, I guess. Is that going from a boy to a girl? Is that why it gets so crazy?
Yeah, essentially it's just where the jet stream is.
Is that why we're feeling its wrath right now?
Yeah. It's confused.
If you could say anything about 2024. Oh gosh, sorry, I had to say it. But one last thing, we're gonna get into summer to fall transition here. But one of the craziest things I saw was this morning, a guy had posted this screenshot of it a shot of this on it was Twitter, and he said basically of record, back when as long as we've been tracking this, they've never seen 3 hurricanes at once on the Atlantic
in October.
Yeah, like
it was just October. It's happened before, but not in October.
The picture was absurd.
It is.
So what are we going through right now? Either way,
so, like to stay on that weather tangent from Africa to Florida, that's usually like a July to September deal. So to have one way out there is really odd this time of year.
Yeah.
It's usually Florida to North Carolina where they form more of the Gulf. And the Gulf's going crazy. And I'm going to call it now. Watch out, about 10 days from now, there's probably going to be another one. So just saying.
See, Ty, I don't even check the weather apps. I just text Andy, and he's typically more accurate than any of the weather apps.
Yeah, I think I called this one like 2 weeks ago. I was like, there's going to be one right behind it. And now the European model shows a third that's going to come through the Caribbean and come up into Florida again. So
I usually look at the African model, not the European. So
fair enough. Fair enough.
Don't even bother with the Canadian model.
I don't think there's an African model. The Canadian model is always like 20 miles off. It's confused.
Well, in the intro for our new folks, I mentioned how we talk everything bass fishing, have a good time doing it. We're just having a good time. We're not really talking about bassing right now, but I promise we are going to get into bassing. And so with that, the last thing I do want to say is the recent show we did with Austin Neary was definitely, we've had some incredible feedback from that. Some people that sent screenshots of them, donating and buying stuff from dream catchers to help Austin's employees and the people down there. I want to let you guys know we kept those links live on the descriptions and will do so for the coming months here. Just so that if people are looking to help out, donate if you can. That is the biggest thing. If you can, definitely have no pressure whatsoever. But if you're able to help, I know those people down there, especially would appreciate it. And the links that go directly to those people, not like the Red Cross or anything like that, that can potentially take a percentage where it goes direct to the people. We have those links down below where you guys can contribute to. So we'll keep those there. Just wanted to make mention of it. And seriously, again, appreciate Austin for being a little vulnerable on that episode. Definitely was real, and appreciate him for doing so. But man, right now it is as we just mentioned for the past 10 minutes, it is a wild time here in the States. But bassing is good. And according to Brad, the snook and tarpon fishing is on fire pre-storm. So that's good to hear. I have to imagine that our Florida folk are probably saying the same thing about the bass right now. But for us, temperatures are changing. Things are getting colder. It was a high of 56, I think, here. And obviously Andy's wearing a hoodie, which we were not able to do like 2 weeks ago. So Ty, it is in summer to fall transition. It's in the heat of it right now. And it's it can be a confusing time. It really can be, but it also can be a lot of fun. But I guess in your own words, what would you like if you had to give like one sentence on like a definition? If somebody asked you, what is bass fishing like in the summer to fall transition? What would you say?
I would say there's no pattern. Like I would just leave it at that.
Amen.
Like I feel like the summer to fall transition is just so. For a number of years I hated this time of the year because I tend to like to fish offshore, and I'm not saying that you can't catch fish offshore during this time of the year. You absolutely can, and sometimes this transition really pushes and groups fish up, but a lot of times they're so spread out. There's a ton of fish spread out, and I've always just found going shallow is kind of what I like to do during that, like literally during this summer to fall transition. So there's no real pattern. A lot of times you're kind of dinking and dunking. You're kind of hodgepodging around to catch fish. It can be good. But I think mentally you just kind of have to be strong in order to go out there and deal with the conditions, and also deal with, we talked about this, Andy, in the show that we did a little while ago about, catching a fish here and catching a fish there and catching a fish on this pattern and catching a fish on this bait, and just being okay with that, because the transitional time really, that's what it's about. No real pattern all the time. And not until really kind of it gets into fall, when those water temps really start to cool down, then it really sets up nice and you can catch a ton of fish. Actually, the late fall is probably one of my favorite times of the year to fish now, but this transitional time can be difficult.
So would you say, go ahead.
I was gonna say, put in layman's terms, if you want to look at Patty Walters' boat deck or Brian New's boat deck any given tournament, that's what your boat deck should look like in the fall. Or when Bailey and I fish together, it's just a chaotic mess. Like, it's just, you need to have everything ready to go, and anything that looks fishy, just fish it, because you're probably going to get bit on some of it and other parts no, and then you go back an hour later and you catch one. It's just, you don't know. Yeah. And I think that's the fun and the mystery in it, because any swing is going to be a 12-incher or the biggest bass of the year during the fall transition. So just
and really,
have fun with it.
Yeah. One thing you got to think about too is that, I love science stuff. Like, you guys have seen some of the studies type videos, and really the summer to fall transition, like there's kind of like scientific reason why it gets tough, which I always like, because, a lot of lakes, not all lakes, but a lot of lakes during the summer are going to stratify, where they separate into kind of three main parts. And I, at one point, knew the technical terms for them, but there's an upper layer, there's a thermocline, and there's the bottom layer, And so, as a lot of us fishermen know, the upper layer and the thermocline have most of the oxygen. There's a little bit down, past the thermocline, but it's typically not enough for a bass to thrive in. They can go down there and come back up, but it's not enough for them to live, and a lot of fish species. So in the summertime, you have a lot of fish that are kind of find a zone that they like to be in. And so if you can kind of figure out, all of us has fish for smallmouth. You see this more with smallmouth, I think, than anything, but you will find at times in the summer, late summer, where it's like, man, these fish are in like 18 to 20 foot or 22 to 24. Like, you find a zone, depth zone where they are, and that's where it is. Now, when you have the transition, basically what happens is that top layer is going to cool down because it's touching the air, which is cooling down. And the bottom layer is going to stay somewhat the same. And so as that temperature comes down, all of a sudden you have the flip. You have what's called the fall turnover. And so what that does is, a lot of people say it depletes oxygen, but what I really believe that it does is it just spreads the oxygen out. You got to think all this oxygen was in this top layer, but you had all this volume of water down here that didn't have as much oxygen. Now that oxygen is all spread out throughout the entire water column. And the other thing is that the water temperature is all about the same. So with that being said, think of the bass. The bass, instead of having a comfort zone, they now have a lake in which the oxygen's a little bit depleted, but it's the same throughout. So it doesn't matter if they're in 60 foot of water or in their 1 foot of water. They're kind of in the same zone no matter where they are. And so it just spreads the fish out. So that's why a lot of times when you go fishing, you might catch one on a main lake point, and then you work up into a pocket and you catch one in the back of the pocket. And then on the way out, you catch one halfway back on a dock. Like, that's a lot of times why this transitional period can be difficult, is because the fish are just spread out and there's bait everywhere, bait galore during this time of the year with all the, shad and different bait fish that have, now multiplied, and there's billions of them. So I always like the science behind things, and really you can kind of see that there's scientific reasoning why you kind of have fish spread out and a little bit just harder to catch.
Yeah. And with that, this time of year in experience, and you bring up the bait fish thing, I'll throw $1 in here. It's a great time to have forward facing sonar, because with all those bait balls and everything out there, they will get out and roam, especially along that thermocline. And I don't know if it was, part of me wants to say it was a show we did like a year or two ago with you, Ty, where I think you might have mentioned it, or it was, part of me wants to say Buddy Gross too, where somebody mentioned with the thermocline, if you can recognize that it's at 31 feet, whatever, just throwing a number out there, that if you then take your mapping and you can write off everything that's below 31 foot, then now you can see all the lake that's in play.
It was Ben Nowak.
Was it? It was Ben. Okay. Sorry, Ben. My bad, bro. But yeah, I mean, another Bassin genius of the North. Yeah. And so that right there is a great tip for too. Like if you notice that, it kind of can eliminate a lot of water for you to go and check out. Yeah. But now also too, what we've learned using forward facing sonar, throw another $1 in there, is that you could go out and it could be 100 feet, but if the thermocline say 21, they can still be out. That's the crazy part of it now. But yeah, I think one of the tips that I got from a local here in New York anyway was, of course, there's some of your mainstay things that, especially in the North, seem to resonate, like whether it's rock piles, something along the lines that should typically always hold a fish or two. If you take those from the situation and you remove them, you're almost better off looking at your lake brand new. Like if you're going to show up for the first time again and just go and fish, you're almost better off doing that versus going and fishing like, oh, I know I've caught them on this stretch before, where chances are you might not catch them on that stretch before. They could be somewhere you usually don't catch them at all because of this time of year. But I think you explained that perfectly, Ty, where it's a completely different environment this time of year versus the rest of the time of year because of that, the thermocline.
Yeah. And like you were saying too, like, some of us, depending on who's listening to this, they may be in the South where things aren't starting to flip quite as much. And kind of like you just said, if you still have a thermocline in your lake, you can see it pretty easily with electronics. And like, you had said, Ben had said, one of the best things to do is use your shading on your units, because if everything, say your thermocline's at 30 foot, like for example, on the hummingbirds, like you have your green shading that you can do, or in your red shading that I like to do. Usually it's 2, you can do a multiple more. But, if that thermocline, say, is at 30 foot, typically that 25 to 30 foot zone more than likely is going to have the most oxygen and the most comfort level to the fish, because we see a lot of fish relating right around that thermocline. So you can mark that on your map as red, and then the anything shallower is green. And like you just said, now you look at your map and you look at your lake, and now this is where the fish are. And you might have the red that goes around and touches a point and a hump here, and you're like, man, those could be really good areas. But also you have all the green to be able to fish as well, I guess. So
yeah, it's such a good tip to be able to eliminate water from that standpoint. But for you though, like say and let's start from here, because I think that was a great definition, a great layout of how this time of year, like how most of our lakes will react. But say like you've been fishing, maybe you took a couple weeks off, busy family work. You're pulling up to the boat ramp. You're about to back the boat down. What are some of the first signs that transition is happening for you?
So a lot of times, like if the actual, like say you have an actual transition as in a fall turnover happening, like you can visibly see it in a lot of lakes. Like you will have your water will go from maybe clearer to actually having maybe a greenish or bluish tint. So sometimes you can see it. I've also noticed that in some lakes around me that like you will have these random, I don't know what they are. It's like part of the bottom, that mud has almost floating up. And I don't know if it's
talking about like that black things floating around on the surface.
Yes.
It's decaying weeds.
Okay. whatever it is, you tend to see more of that. And I've heard before that you like some lakes that turn over will have a stench to them. I have not noticed that, but I definitely have heard that that is true. And it depends, I'm sure, on the lakes that are out there. But that's one of the biggest things that I always look for. If you are somewhat familiar with the lake as well, like I said, you know, say, like you said, you hadn't been there in 2 weeks, but you were there 2 weeks ago and everything was kind of summer-esque. You know, a lot of anglers, if they're somewhat savvy with their electronics, they're going to be able to like say like, hey, I've been seeing the thermocline in 22 foot, you know? And so then when you get on the lake and as soon as you idle out, you're going to see there is no thermocline out there. So you'll be able to notice then that things have changed, not only with the water temperature coming down, but that thermocline basically dissipating and disappearing. So
yeah. Well, here's something for both of you guys too, because this definitely took it took a while for me to really understand, and obviously a couple of years of experiencing it to understand what's happening. But when people say the lake flipped, you know, I think we've all experienced it now. But like for some folks, they're like, "What the heck do you mean the lake flipped?" They might not understand that concept. So I'll toss it to either of you guys. I guess in simple terms, what does it mean for a lake to flip, and what causes it? Because it's usually this time of year, leading into summer to fall transition.
So do you want like the Great Lakes terminology of lake flipping, or do you just want like general?
Yeah, I'll just keep it general because I mean, obviously everyone's a little bit different, but
right. So for me, like it's what Ty said, it's the mixing of water. You're seeing the watercolor change, the way your electronics, like as he was explaining it, you know, like you knew the thermocline was at say 30 feet and you go out there and it's gone. You'd notice that difference on your 2D, and that's why I'm a huge proponent on 2D imaging still, is because you can see little things like that better than you can with down imaging. You can see where the water density is different due to lack of oxygen, etc., the sediment that's in the water. It just all shows up. So like the first things I'll look at is one, which way's the wind blowing, because that will kind of dictate on which side of the lake is flipped. For instance, on one of the Finger Lakes I fished a couple weeks ago, the south end was that brown, bluey, green color. The water was 3-4 degrees colder than the rest because all the cold water was rising up in the south end. And in the north end, the lake was still gin clear, but it was also a hard north wind, so everything was getting blown down to the south. No, I apologize. It was a hard south wind. So all the stable water was in the north end as to where the lake was basically rolling and flipping and pushing the warm water north, and all the cold water was rising in the south. So you saw where that water was changing. I probably didn't do a great job at that, but
no, I think that makes sense. Ty, anything to add on that?
Yeah, no, exact same thing. I mean, you have those. You literally have a flip when your bottom and your bottom layer and your top layer like flip. You know, more or less like it's what they really do is they mesh together. You know, like once they become the same temperature, they just kind of together. But we call it flip because really the bottom of the lake, it's almost like it rises to the top. But yes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a 2-layer cake where one just slides over the other. It's kind of a weird concept how it works, but it can be pretty crazy. Like when you see what happens, especially like Andy can attest to this. I don't know if you've experienced it on Ontario before, Andy, but it's like you go up shallow and it's just like salmon or up in like
it's not even so much as salmon. Like when like Lake Erie will flip to at a very minimal extent that Lake Ontario will, but the water will get so clear. Like we already have insanely clear water, but I'm saying it looks like vodka in like 20 foot of water. It gets so clear because all that cold water is rushed up. It's just like, wow. And I actually like it when it flips. You're not going to like it from a fish catching standpoint, but if you don't like using your electronics and you can visually look at with your eyes and mark where the biggest rocks are and see exactly how they look instead of using your electronics, and you can understand why the fish are living where they are when that happens, because you can just see so much more. It's like diving in the water with scuba gear just from the surface. So I love September when Lake Erie flips. I go up on the North Shore and just start looking around because you see so much more.
Never heard anybody compare clear water to vodka before. That's a new one.
Just
Usually-
vodka
usually
clear.
gin.
Gin.
It's usually
Gin
gin
clear,
clear.
vodka clear. It's all the same thing. Whatever. Stoli, baby. Stoli. Stoli clear.
Well, so Ty, with your method of it, where you're like, you like to get up shallow this time of year, you know, and it's almost like looking at your lake like it's a clean slate. When you're doing so, you launch the boat, you think it's that transition's happening. What are our 1 or 2 search baits you're going to put in your hands? So you might not catch as many fish until you can figure out, but it's something at least going to help you get an idea.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely search baits. And a lot of times, like, I think that you guys are similar. Like, I won't even pick up anything slower. I just like to go down the bank. And so, you know, the easy one, the one that I like, you know, and I talked about this with Andy, is a plopper. You know, like a whopper plopper is by far the one that I'm going to pick up a lot. And you see this, like we've seen this over like several years, and especially when the plopper came out, you know, when it was really like everyone was catching them on it. But still, even to this day, you know, like the plopper still has a time and place where it shines. And I do feel like this is a good time for it. And I partly think that some of these big fish that have been out deep or like around that thermocline, they do move up shallow. And I think that anytime a bass, if you think about anytime a bass moves from one area to the next area, like where it's going to be for a little bit, is when it's the most aggressive. Like when bass go from spawning and they land on their offshore structure during the spring to summer, like that is when you catch them on deep diving crankbaits and the big baits. And then later in the summer, like you have to finesse them a little bit more. And I think the reverse happens in the fall when fish move from a little bit deeper and they first come up shallow. Like right when they come up shallow is one of the easier times to catch them, even when the lake has flipped, because I think that they are just, if you've ever caught a bass in a big lake and put it in a pond and you go around that pond the next day and fish, and I know this because I grew up with a pond in my backyard, you always catch that fish on like the first or second day it's in your pond. And I think it just has something to do with that fish. When it moves from one spot to another, it's testing its surroundings, it's eating things, it's trying to like figure out what's going on. And so they're aggressive. So a whopper plopper, to me, it's a perfect bait. And you can fish it around anything, and like, you know, a dock, you'll fish it right down a dock. You know, you can fish it down a riprap bank. You know, you see it a lot in like the Ozarks, you know, what I was talking about, you know, where guys were catching them on whopper ploppers forever, and they still do. But this was the time of year where they really caught them, you know, and it was like guys were winning a lot of tournaments. That happens all over the place. So a whopper plopper is a good one. Any kind of top water bait like that too, you know, a buzz bait, a horny toad, even those are all good baits that just, I mean, fish in the dirt and just cast in the dirt and bring out. I mean, and to me, it's really like I could fish a number of top water baits. You could catch them on the spooks. There's so many different baits that will work, but those ones, you know, the plopper, the buzz bait, the horny toad, you can just cover so much water because they're just constantly moving. So I pick up a whopper plopper a lot, you know, as there will be times where you get into a little bit dirtier water when this happens, you know, like, or even go out and seek it. And in those situations, like a spinner bait is going to be one, a square bill is going to be one that I pick up. Again, these are baits you're just casting out, you're moving, you're fishing all over the place. You're fishing against everything, around everything, and just covering a ton of water. So that's what I like to do, is just cover a lot of water. And like we said earlier, if you catch one on a dock, don't think, oh, I got to go run all these docks. Just keep moving, because a lot of times it's like you catch one on a dock, catch one in the back off a lay down log. You come out to the main lake, there's a grass flat, you catch one on a grass flat. So there's a lot of, you know, like I said, no pattern fishing this time of year, which can be very difficult at times because you want to be able to duplicate it as an angler. Like that's our internal instinct, you know, especially for those of us who have just grown up watching this. Like you always think, how can I duplicate this? How can I catch more bass? In this time of the year, it's not really like that a lot of times. You're just going. And I think it's not like when I was fishing the Open, especially in 2020, because our last 3 tournaments of 2020 were all in the fall of the year, kind of in the transitional time. And all the guys who did really well in that tournament never fished the same bank twice. They were just going. Same exact thing. You know, I remember Matt Robertson, I think, winning Cherokee, and I fished that tournament. And I thought I was going to do really well in that tournament, skipping a swim bait around docks. And he was literally just going down the bank with a spook style bait and just kept going. And he never fished the same place twice, won that tournament. And I mean, old Stinky Jeans is still in the elites. So yeah.
What'd you call him?
Stanky Jeans.
Stanky Jeans.
Yeah.
I love that. That's amazing.
He's
awesome,
that's
true.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah.
Oh,
I will say one point. I think you just explain the retread theory without even trying to explain it, right? Like you take a bass from its home, you go to a weigh-in, they release them usually at the weigh-in site. And how many opens and Elite Series events have you seen in bigger tournaments where guys make a top 10 just running retreads, popular launch dock areas, and catching them? And sometimes they get really big bites doing that. And that explains it right there, is that they just want to eat and get familiar with where they're at before they go to where they're going again. So that's awesome to think about it that way.
That makes sense. Yeah. I hadn't thought about it like that, but that's 100% true.
Now, with this time of year, is it one where you need to be right there at dark? You need to be like in summer where you can go out an hour before dark, catch them on top water, other methods, but you can catch them all throughout the day? Or is this one where windows are a big factor for catching them?
I don't know if there's going to be exact for that. If I'm being honest, like no matter what, there's always a morning bite. Like the dead of winter, the dead of summer, there's always a morning bite anywhere in between. So I always suggest going to the lake in the morning, getting there before dark, because there's always a morning bite. No matter, the water could be 37 degrees and you're going to catch fish in the morning time. But I don't think with this time of the year that, fish are starting to feed a lot. They will start to feed. The more we get into the fall, the more they're going to feed. And the more I don't think it really matters, because they're feeding throughout the day, no matter when it is, and probably at night as well. And you can just go there to there. So I don't think it really matters, but I've not fished every single lake in the country. I am kind of trying to do that, but I'll never get there.
I think your lake break, I think you might as well have notched half the country on them now.
So what you need to do is basically take like Michigan, Wisconsin, and Minnesota right off the map, because they'll take 100 years just to fish one of those states, right? So if you take those out, you have a chance. Yeah.
And speaking of one of your sponsors, Omnia, Omnia is telling me how they have 44,000 maps, high definition maps in their app, of all the Lowrance maps out there. And I'm like, I was thinking about the other day, because in those lake break videos, like I'd love to fish like every lake in every state, but I'm like 44,000. No, that's not happening. Not in this lifetime. Like I could fish one every single day. It's not happening. So
yeah, even then, good gosh. Yeah. Which, granted, excels all year round, but this is another great time too, is when we talked about back in the spring being an Omnia Pro member. What that does, not only just because of the other benefits, but because of that mapping, especially, there's different layers that you can use, from water clarity to water temperature, the things like that. With the springtime, seeing where the warmer temperatures are, in the fall, on the contrary, where you can see where some of the cooler temperatures are starting, you could also use that water clarity, to Andy's point, and what you guys are saying, how that earlier, Ty, your point of that dingier, bluish, odd color where you can tell things are changing, that will show up on that layer. You can tell when that water clarity will start to change. That's another factor you can use with that pro membership that Omnia has. It $50 a year for the insights you get from that without having to leave your couch is pretty dang effective.
Yeah,
and you get money back every time you buy product. So
which for people like Andy, it's a lot of money.
And I don't want this to be a complete Omnia just thing, but I do have to mention that I'm really pumped about their Waypoint feature. And this is actually something that I've been talking to Matt over for a while now, because I had an old Lowrance unit that had 3,000 waypoints on it, and I could not figure out, and I feel like I'm fairly savvy with this stuff, on how to convert them over to my Humminbird units, because you need a certain Humminbird. They were the wrong file. And so anyways, long story short, I talked to Matt about this. I said, this would be a really great feature to have on Omnia. If I could just, I don't want to keep my waypoints on SD cards anymore. I don't want to keep them on my computer because you never know when it's going to crash. I was like, I want to upload them to a cloud of some sort. And so now you can download waypoints into your Omnia app. And not only that, but it's going to take 10 years past data. So if I made a waypoint 7 years ago, it's going to take where that waypoint was. It's going to take the conditions that were happening at that waypoint, and it's going to attribute all those conditions to that waypoint. So if I know that I caught them on this waypoint 7 years ago, I can see what was happening on that day, and then it can help me in the future, which is just a really cool thing. So anyways.
I mean, yeah, it makes your use for having to keep a notepad and research all the same day conditions. You don't need that anymore.
And they say bass fishermen aren't environmentally friendly, right? Like, look at us. We're
Here we go.
trees.
Yeah, let's notepads, boys. Mr. Higgs here asks, how does that waypoint feature work? Is it community waypoints or just ones you place down? I don't think there's any feature for it to be community like you would a
Navionics. The Navionics app has some community waypoint sharing.
Well, yeah, what was it? Was it Fishbrain was one you can have it be community? But you can share waypoints though. Like you can go on your lake and then share it to a buddy where it's like, hey man, hey Ty, here you go. Here's a rock pile I found on this lake. So you can share them pretty easy right through mobile. And if you have the app, it translates right to your phone. But I don't think there's a community feature to it.
Yeah, it is private, just so you guys know. Like I know how long it takes to find these waypoints, and so I'd hate for it to just go out to the universe. So, but it is private until, like you said, you can share them easily with a buddy if you want.
But hey, if you see some guy from Omnia, go to the Open, start winning every tournament, then you got something.
Yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah.
Oh, I think we'll have to grill Trevor about this, right? Like Trevor.
Yeah. No, it reminds me of a shout to my buddy Eric Horner, who's a writer over at Outdoor Life, and he helped get the angler button off the ground. He kind of helped that thing. He was the life for that brand. But it was funny because with that, like you could click the button and log your kind of what they tried to do. I'm just doing it way better. And it's essentially they could see live like the waypoints you're doing, and I'm helping him out, and I'm recording one of my days. And he calls me. He goes, "Oh, so that's where you're catching them, huh?" And I'm like, "You can see this?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "I can see where you're at." And he goes, "You're fishing right now." And I'm like, as I'm listening to it, I take my hat, the thing off my hat, I put it in the back of the kayak, and I'm like, I ain't using this no more now.
Yeah,
it's tournaments up there.
Screw that, man.
Yeah,
you're fishing with a foil hat the next time you go out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, but yeah, it's super cool the different things you can do with that. That waypoint feature is extremely underrated. I don't think people can kind of understand the full grasp yet of what you can really get out of that to make it a lot easier. Because here I am sitting with 3 different Google Drive logins with folders, and the main folders and backup folders separated by lake for all my waypoints to make sure I don't lose them all. Yeah, it's another wavelength of security to get that. But we got a question here also from Mr. Higgs saying, during the fall time, after the bass leave those floating dead grass mats, where do they really go? Straight to wood, rocks, or just roam around? So I guess honestly, we could pitch this question to grass in general, because this is a great time when you're going to start seeing grass die off now, especially when you see a great telltale sign that the transition's coming is especially when you start seeing the nighttime temperatures start to fall. That's a great key to sign that that's happening. You'll start see grass start to die. Great first place to go is where that healthy grass still is. Yeah. And if you can keep with that grass, which is alive, which is dying, you can keep with the bass pretty easy. But when that's gone, I guess Ty, I'll pitch to you. What is your first resort when you see, well, the grass is officially gone?
Yeah. No, I mean it's just gonna depend on the lake. But to me, those like bass, like if you look at all the scientific data, like bass do not. The majority of bass are not bass that are going to roam throughout the entire lake year round. Like most bass have home zones that they stay in. So if you have a grass flat or an area where you've been catching them on grass, I'm always going to look at what is the kind of the structure that is out from that. Because more than likely those bass are probably going from that grass and they're going to go to one of the nearer places, which is probably going to be some of that structure. So whether that's a brush pile on a secondary point that's right there, or maybe it's a rock pile on a big flat that's adjacent to where the grass was, it can be a number of different things. I don't think that bass gets specific on rock versus wood versus whatever it may be. And I definitely think that, like Bailey said, if you can find the grass that's still alive, like I do think that that becomes little gold mines, because say you have a big grass flat and a lot of it's dead, a lot of those fish I think are just going to go to that little area where it's still alive, still green, still crispy, and that's where they're going to be, where you can just, I mean, sit in an area and cast there and catch a lot of fish. And so the other thing that we know about bass, especially now with forward facing sonar, clock me in for $1, is that a lot of these fish might not even go to rock, and a lot of these fish might not even go to wood. They're going to go to wherever the bait is. You know, like winter time and even late fall becomes a great time to fish your Demiki rigs, your Alabama rigs, where these bass are really using the bait as their cover, and they're going to follow them around. So that's just what I think.
Yeah, and I think the transition too is you can still catch fish on bottom, but naturally you're going to be fishing your baits more upper in the column this year than I would say on average than the rest of the year, where it's, you know, summer you can catch fish, dragging, catch fish, suspended, catch fish on top, where naturally these fish are feeding up this time of year. At least that's what your go-to would be anyway.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it too also depends on what the bait fish population is in the lake. Like, do they have bluegill? Is it shad base? Is it more of a crawfish style fishery too? And you have to dictate your presentations based on what the forage base is.
Yeah.
So that's always important to know.
Yeah. So with this time of year, transitions happening, you can see everything's changing. Leaves are starting to change colors as well. What would you say is your favorite bite to get on this time of year, Ty? I know obviously there's, like you mentioned, the first thing, there is no patterns, but if you had a preferred way of catching them while things are changing, what would be your preferred method? Like
specifically through the transition, or are we talking in the fall?
Let's talk through transition.
Okay. I don't, honestly, my favorite bite is going to be probably just the top water. Like, well, okay. Top water is definitely one. Also, like if you're, depending on your lake, if your lake has a lot of grass, coontail, milfoil, hydrilla, this time of year can be also a great time of the year to fish in the grass. Like during the transition, you're going to have not only the lake cooling off, but it seems like a lot of the like undergrowth and algae really starts to die off. So even more mats are going to be developed out there. And I love a mat flipping bite. I mean, you look at the Gunnersvilles of the year, and I believe the guy that you're going to have on here can probably attest to this, but you have typically a really good mat flipping bite, like late summer, early fall, actually into fall, but it's always pretty good. And so I love flipping mats 100%. It's one of my favorite things to do. Frogging mats when they're not too thick, is another thing that I love to do. So that's one of my favorite bites. But just going down the bank and throwing a top water and covering a lot of water and not using like any electronics is also really fun to do. So I don't know. I love to catch bass no matter. I'm like you guys. I love to catch bass no matter how they're biting. So I don't know if I have a favorite, but those are probably the two at the top.
Dude, I just gotta say, if anybody has not watched the lake break you did when you were literally just catching big ones, flipping grass, that
your favorite lake,
one of them, yeah, that was freaking awesome. That was freaking cool. Walk us through that setup real fast too, because I don't know if it was just the wide angle lens or if it was just me overthinking it, but I was looking into like methods. I'm always super obsessed with mechanics because I feel like if you have good mechanics and you can put everything together, the different components just adds up to landing more fish, catching more fish, that sort of thing. But it looked like you were using a softer rod. It could have been just me, but I'd love to hear your setup for flipping that grass.
So in that particular video, like this is 100% derived from Seth Fighter, because I would have never done this if it wasn't for him. When he went up to Champlain, was flipping foil, like I noticed, I'm like you, Bailey. When I notice someone doing something, especially vastly different with their, because all our life we heard the guys like talk about, you need a 7'6" flip stick, blah, 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 blah. And he was using a 7'1" medium heavy power rod, but it was more of a moderate bending rod. And he was using 30-pound braid to 20-pound fluorocarbon. So that is the exact same setup that I have. I was using, it's a cob rod made by Tharp that is called, it's their buzz bait rod. It's called like their little buzzy or buzz something. Anyways, it's 7 foot, 1 inch. It's a medium heavy power. It's labeled as a fast action, but if you pull the tip down, it looks like it bends down about 40%.
It's got that beautiful parabolic bend to it.
Yeah, it's not quite parabolic, but it's definitely more parabolic than a fast action rod should be. And so, anyways, to me, that I started doing that a number of years ago, like when he was doing well on Champlain and flipping that foil, and I just fell in love with it. Like I really like that smaller rod. Like it is so. It's just you've heard this term of an extension of your arm, in fishing before. And that's what it feels like when you're using that setup. And I do think that 30-pound braid is a key to it too. Like I've tried with 50-pound braid because when I first tried this, I was using my frog rod with 50-pound braid and I just put a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, which worked. But when I got to the lighter rods that have more of that parabolic bend, in that specific situation, when you're flipping pretty close to you, like I tend to jackfish. Like I cannot help it. Like I just want to set the hook hard. So I got to have some give there. And I automatically noticed that every fish that I was hooked, and even in that video, you'll see every fish that's hooked it's almost near perfection. Like they're through the top of the mouth. There's no like stretch. There's no big hole, because that rod, your braid is no stretch. So your rod's got to take up that give. And so when you have that lighter rod, you set the hook, man, it's a perfect hook set every single time. Now there are, with that specific day, the taller the grass is that you flip, like that day I was flipping like 10 and 12 foot tall, which is pretty tall. You do not want to make long pitches. That is the big thing. Do not make a big long pitch, because if you think about, if this is your boat right here and you're up here trying to do this backwards,
I feel like we need the Ty Berger, dry erase board walkthroughs here.
Exactly. So if you flip in the water in tall grass, your line's going down and then way far down. Like if you're flipping in 3 foot of water, pretty much just goes straight there. But when you're fishing in 10 foot, 12 foot, it's going down here and then way down. So when you set the hook, you got to pick up all this slack that's right here. So the further out your pitch is, the worse off you're going to be. Not to mention, you could be what you think is tight on a bass, but that fish is swimming at you, but it's going through grass and then back towards you. And so when you set the hook, you'll hit nothing. So don't make long pitches in that scenario. But I take that same setup, and I don't know if you watched the lake break video that I did over on Douglas Lake just like a month ago, but I did the exact same setup at Douglas, and it was the difference that day in me. I lost like 6 fish at the beginning of the day, and I was doing my typical 7 foot 6 inch rod, my flip stick with 20-pound line, and I lost like 5 out of 6 fish that I hooked. I switched over to that one and a smaller bait, and every single fish that I hooked, I put in the boat. So I do like that setup. It's a good little setup. It's like I said, it's an extension of your arm, and I just enjoy it.
Is it FG that you're tying to that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, FG. You can do. I did it with a Crazy Alberto, but I feel like I'm fairly quick with the FG now, especially after I did my leader knot test that I did over on my channel, because I tied the FG knot like in the same day, like I don't even know how many times, a lot of times. So now I just feel like I can do it without looking. But
for whatever reason, I tried it for a little while, and sometimes it would work perfect, and then I felt like I did the same thing, and I'd break it, and I'm like, okay, I definitely obviously screwed that one up because it's not supposed to break. Yeah. And I don't know. I got to get back to doing it, but I think it was more out of laziness than I do, because I just don't really, I guess, use leader anymore for casting. I
think it is more important on the heavier lines than on your lighter lines. You can get away with your lighter lines, but with lighter lines, you're using a spinning rod. Typically, your spinning rod's probably at like a 2 or 3 pound drag. So like, it's not going to, like, you're not going to have issues breaking at your leader. With their heavier lines, like if you're setting the hook hard and you got 20 some pounds of drag, Like, you need to have the best knot that you can. And if you look at like even the leader test that I did over on Bass Fishing HQ, the percentages was huge. I don't know them off the top of my head, but FG knot was 100%. Whatever your breaking strength of your fluorocarbon was, is what that it never broke. I never had one break at the actual FG knot. It was always at the other end of the knot. But on all the other knots, you know, your crazy Albertos, your definitely the double uni, like it's breaking at the knot, and it's usually like 60-70% of your fluorocarbon strength. So it is that much better of a knot.
I know the FG knot, like even the Alberto knot, right? Like they were both designed for saltwater fishing, connecting heavy lines to heavy fluorocarbon. So, you know, they're great knots, but like when it comes to finesse fishing, like you said, it doesn't matter. Alberto, FG, it's all fine. But if I were to start doing that same setup you are and flipping like a 30 or 40 pound braid to 20 pound fluorocarbon, the FG knot is advantageous because it goes through the guides a lot smoother than an Alberto knot, because the Alberto knot will tend to be kind of bulky in the middle. Yeah, you'll feel it going through us, where the FG is, it's an elongated knot as well. So it gives you a rise, but it's more spaced out, so it goes through a lot smoother when you're flipping. Yeah. So that's the advantage of it.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people with the FG knot, the thing that they probably hate about it is that you have so many different people that are tying the end of the knot in different ways. So you'll hear some guys say like, I need 3 half hitches and then a triple half hitch, or some people will do a risotto finish. And there's so many different ways to tie the end of the knot, but that has nothing to do with the strength of the knot. If you do your wraps, so if I'm doing 30 pound braid to 20 pound fluorocarbon, I usually do 20 wraps. If I do 1 half hitch after that, I should be able to have full strength pull it as hard as I can. Your complete strength is in those wraps, because those wraps are like, you know, you hear it all the time. It's like
a weave.
It's a weave.
Chinese finger trap.
Chinese finger trap. That's what I was thinking about. And it actually digs into the fluorocarbon a little bit. So if you think about it, if you get a microscope, your fluorocarbon is actually indented. So when you pull on it, even with 1 half hitch, you should have perfect strength. Now, the only reason you add more half hitches and however you want to do it is just so that doesn't come unraveled. So that's the part that I think a lot of people get hung up on, because there's so many different guys that'll say, do 3 half hitches and then this, or 4 half hitches or whatever. Some guys just keep doing half hitches, and some guys do the really nice risotto finish, which looks really good as well. But your strength is in that weave that you do at the beginning. So
I love it. You're gonna have a lot more people sending you DMs now, frustrated if they spent 2 hours trying to tie FG for the first time.
Look, it's not easy at first. Like there's 100%. Like it takes a minute, but once you do it, you'll be thrilled.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, man, I feel like we broke down the summer to fall pretty well, especially for people that are trying to understand it better. Some little juicy nuggets in there too. But any closing remarks before we let you go here on the summer to fall transition?
I don't think so. You know, I think the big thing is just remember that a lot of times you're not going to get on a pattern, and every lake is a little bit different. Like we all know that. Like if you live in the north, it's different. You have a lot more vegetation, and vegetation can be good year round as long as it's green, like we talked about. Where in the south, like that's where I'm really gonna like, bam, I'm up in the shallows and just going. So,
yeah, I heard if you buy Ty Berger's icon, you immediately start catching more fish.
Okay, come on.
I actually believe that.
Come on. I mean, it's set up to catch all that you want. I mean,
is it still for sale?
It is. There's a gentleman down in Florida that is, he seems pretty ready to go with it, but it is an election year, and there's a lot of changes coming in the next, hopefully in the next 30 days or whatever it is. So I think a lot of people are waiting till that happens before making decisions. So it is currently for sale though. So.
Well, you heard him. I mean, you just put that boat in the water and fish just jump into your boat. I don't know if you guys have seen his videos, but yeah, see, there you go. There we go.
All right.
Is it blue or am I crazy?
Yeah, it's blue.
All right.
It's blue.
Making sure my eyes still work.
It's a pretty boat. I watched it rip by on the 90 on his trip to New York. I had to call him. I was like, whoa. I was like, I know who that is.
Yeah. I actually just put that Chautauqua video up tonight.
Yeah,
like
I was watching that. Ago. Yeah.
So.
All right. Honest rating. Do you like Chautauqua or not?
1 out of 10. It's got to be a 1 out of 10.
I haven't fished it enough. I used to love that lake, and I'm sure it has changed. Every lake goes through changes. When I fished it this last time, I wasn't fond of it, but I was also doing a no electronics day. So I didn't go look for smallmouth or offshore stuff like I would have normally did. I just basically picked up a flip stick and a frog and went. And so I don't know. I know that they catch them in there, though. I know that late fall can be really good for that lake too, especially big smallmouth. But I just haven't been there enough. I mean, this was the first time I'd fished it in I think almost over 10 years. So, but yeah.
Yeah.
I do know that the lake that you sent me to, which I won't name, was like way better. Actually, both the other lakes that you sent me to were way better. So,
yeah, Andy and I are anti-Chautauqua fans. That is for sure. But that's okay.
I mean,
that's
what, and that it's funny. Like I told Bailey we got to get Matt Becker and
yeah, after they waxed 99 pounds or whatever it was on there.
It's funny. I texted Bailey and I was like, "Oh, a lot of people are gonna be mad. I know right where they're at."
I remember texting Matt about that. I'm like, "Have you gotten any messages, dude?" And he goes, "Oops." Which they're heading to China right now, which is wild. I guess they're having some MLF tournament in China. And I was texting Matt about that the other day, and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm moving to
Japan."
China. Like, that's what I asked. I'm like, "Wait, China?" Or I was like, "Well, you're going to China." He goes, "No, we're going to China."
There's bass in China, South Korea, and Japan, I do believe. So
yeah, I think I knew the South Korea one. I didn't know China until I was talking to Matt about it, and he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "MLF sending us. I guess they have bass over there, so they're gonna go." I don't know what the whole premise of it is. We'll have to get him back on the show here when they get home, but. Obviously, hopefully safe travels for him. I've been seeing, Panger, John Cruz, Kyle Welcher. Recently saw Alton Jones. A bunch of people are heading over to Japan, which I love to see because I think the crossover is, beneficial just for both, communities of bassin. And I like to see the guys over there learning some stuff. And I just think hopefully it's just for better innovation for our whole sport moving forward. But cool deal, man. That's the one thing I talked to my wife. And she sometimes talks about doing international travel, and I have zero interest unless it's Japan to go learn more about bassin. That is the only interest I got.
There's some
Canada doesn't count. Canada, is Canada, but Japan will be awesome.
A lot of money in Japan too. Them lures that they got over there that you cannot get over here. So
yeah, I'd probably just leave all my credit cards at home and just.
Yeah. That'd be smart.
If I want any bank account to return home to. But dude, Ty, thank you so much as always, man, for the time you take out to come on, teach some people, especially like we joked about at the beginning that you're basically a serious angler part-timer at this point from the Lure Lab in this show, how many times you've been on. But it's for good reason, man. You're one of the best teachers of bassin on YouTube, and we appreciate you, sir.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Always enjoy it. Always here if you need me. As long as I'm not fishing. Well, for a long time, it's like Tuesday nighters are my fishing nights, but that wrapped up. So, yeah.
So winters and fall, we can get Ty anytime we want.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. Got it. Well, buddy, appreciate you. And for folks, if you've whatever reason not checked out Bass Fishing HQ on YouTube, you definitely need to do that. But pal, appreciate you. We'll be talking to you real soon.
All right. See y'all.
See you, Ty. Mr. Ty Berger, everybody. What are you going to say, Andy?
Real quick on the China note, I was looking it up here real fast. Bass have only been in China about 12 to 15 years, and they only are in basically 3 provinces in Guangdong, Sichuan, and Beijing. I probably said that all wrong, but hold on. I pulled it up. Come here. What? Hold on, let's see if I can
That
share
was not what I was expecting to come out of your mouth. I apologize for my childish brain here, folks, but that was pretty good.
Hey, I tried, all right? So right here. Guangdong, Sichuan.
Can you zoom in on your browser? I can't see this.
I can't zoom in. I don't think I can. But
hold on, let me see if I can there we go.
Yeah, you do it. Yeah.
Where does it say Guangdong?
Right here, Guangdong. Guang dong. I don't know how to say it.
I can't. Okay, guess you learn something new every day.
Yes, but yeah, like they've been there zooming through here for like 12, 15 years, and a 20-incher is a really big bass. So it sounds like you're going to see a lot of mediocre 2-pound bass that people don't get excited over. So that'll be fun to watch.
Hey, a 20-inch bass is big anyway.
No, they said the average size is between 14 and 16 inches.
So it sounds like Chautauqua.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of lakes in New York.
Yeah. Well, that was not what I was expecting that show to go into, learning about the bass of Guangdong. But hey, it's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited about it when he told me about it, and
it's cool.
Looking forward to the coverage that'll come from that. But man, thanks to Ty for joining us. If you guys have not, again, if you haven't checked out Bass Fishing HQ or his personal channel, Ty Berger, you can learn a lot from it. Encourage you guys to do so. The links are down below for you guys to check that out. But the show is not over. We still have a lot to come. We have our pal Trevor Lo joining the show, and Mr. Jordan Thomspon, Gville Hammer, that we're going to bring on here and do a little fall bass baits bracket. And I actually think this is Trevor's second time on a bracket, I believe. If I'm not mistaken.
You're correct.
But yeah, we have a lot of fun coming up. We're gonna get a winner of the bracket, but we're going to go through the bracket with the guys too. Make sure we're not missing anything. We're going to do all that when we get them on here on the show. Before we do, a quick message from Hobie Eyewear.
I have to have the best eyewear.
My eyes are essential to doing my job.
It's the highest quality lens that I've ever used.
Top of the line performance in these glasses.
But they're priced for absolutely everyone. The everyday angler can afford them.
As a touring professional pro, if I can depend on them, I know the weekend angler can as well. Hobie Eyewear, built for the pros.
Priced for everyone.
All right, folks, we are back, and we got a fun bracket challenge coming up. But before we do, let's bring these guys on one by one here. And we'll start off with our pal, Mr. Trevor Lo. What's going on, man?
Good evening, sir. What's new?
How are you guys? Dude, man, life has just been crazy. Just had the second kiddo back in July, and I feel like it's just been a whirlwind. And then we just had our offer accepted on a house, so we're closing in about a month here. So
dang,
it's crazy, man.
Big moves, bro.
Big moves.
So
congrats.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit of a change of pace with the second one, and then a big adjustment, getting our own place, getting our own space, and somewhere for the kiddos to go run around without stomping all over grandma and grandpa's place.
As a dad with 2 little girls, I will promise you it doesn't get easier.
Thanks.
Maybe instill some confidence in him, Andy.
Thank you.
There are times where it seems like it gets easier, but they just get more and more wild the older they get. So it's fun.
Well,
yeah, we'll see. I mean, my younger one's a boy, so hopefully, I mean, he's gonna play rough and be a boy. So we'll see how that goes with the little girl.
Yeah. Don't worry. Before you know it, he's gonna be stealing your boat and truck. We're gonna go out to go fish, and he's already gonna be at the lake without you.
I was rigging up today, and in the garage on my boat, and my wife was carrying him, and she walked down. And she goes, "This is gonna be your boat in 20 years." And I'm like,
"Not this one,
probably."
Not this
yeah,
one.
hopefully not this one. But
you're like, so does that mean new boat for me?
Yeah, right.
That's
what
awesome.
are you trying to tell me, honey?
Yeah. Start a fleet. Well, all right, let's bring on Jordan Thomspon here as well. Get the full show going. What's up, Jordan?
What's up, guys?
Good to get you on here, man.
Good evening, sir.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so obviously for people that know social media and things like that, they've likely seen many of your videos that have gone viral. But dude, Gville, Alabama, that's like your neck of the woods. But where's home?
Wheeler Lake.
Wheeler.
I'm actually in a perfect location. So I'm about 20 minutes from Wheeler, about 40 minutes from Gunnersville, about 40 minutes from Smith, an hour from Pickwick, and about an hour from the Coosa. So whatever I want to do, I'm not far from it.
That's not bad.
That's not bad at all.
What's that?
it's a broad range of different style of fishing. So whatever I'm feeling, I'm within driving distance to do it. So it's a perfect location down here.
I feel like that's like a perfect training ground, if you will.
It is.
That's pretty good, man. Heck yeah. Well, dude, this is your first time on the show, and we're pumped to get you on here because I know we got your crew, the Fish Lung crew, on as well, which was a great show. Learned a lot from them. But one thing we didn't get to do with you, and I want to do before we get into this bracket here, which I'm going to have you guys go through because I think, Trevor, the first time we did this one, no, excuse me, this was actually we did the glide bait bracket. We had Kevin Baxter and Brendan Brown on. Apparently, I missed a lot of key glide baits on that, so I'm going to have you guys clear this one before we start it. But Jordan, before we get on the show, man, what we like to do here at Serious Angler is, if it's your first time on the show, we like to throw it back to the starting days, like how you got your start into fishing in general, and who's to blame for this lifelong addiction. So, man, we'd love to hear your story.
All right. Well, I didn't grow up fishing like a lot of people do. I was watching old FLW reruns, and I can't remember who it was. Maybe around the time Scott Martin won Beaver Lake, I think, like in the late 2000s, maybe. Okay. Anyways, that piqued my interest, and my granddad had a pond, and I would get my mom to go drop me off in like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and just fishing a pond. I didn't have any clue what I was doing, tying knots. I just tied a shoelace knot. So I, just messing around, having fun. And then I actually got my dad interested in it because I joined when I got in high school, we had a high school fishing team. So I got my dad interested in it, and he bought his first bass boat, and it's just been up from there. So
heck yeah, dude. Awesome. Yeah, no looking back.
Yeah, no looking back at all.
Heck yeah, buddy. Well, dude, it's good to get you on here, and I'm looking forward to some future episodes when we get you on here as well. But welcome to our first our bracket show. I guess your first time on the bracket show. Basically, what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna throw it to you guys and have your opinions be the decision here, because there might be one I actually take out of here. But right now I have 18 different baits that are typically known as fall baits. What we're gonna do is basically put each of these up together and go head to head until we have one standing as the champion of, I guess, fall fishing, if you will. But amongst those, I'll need to share this and bring it up, and I'll explain why I think I might take one out of it. Let me bring up my screen here.
If you take one out, does that screw up all the seating though?
Well, then we could always take two out too if we wanted. One thing I will make known for you guys too. Let me actually, where's this layout? There we go. That's a little bit better. Can you guys see that okay?
Yep.
Jordan, you're on your phone. I'm imagining you're probably squinting a little bit at these.
I need some glass.
Well, I'll read them off to you. Okay. So one of the ones, we have 18 different ones here, but one of the ones I was thinking about was the A-rig, because fall time A-rig, I feel like that's a pretty clear cut, got a little bit of advantage over the rest of these baits. But one of the things we let you guys know is, feel free to hop in here, but anytime you say forward facing sonar, which I'll add a $1 to the jar, we have a quote unquote swear jar, where anytime you say forward facing sonar, live scope, anything like that, you got to add a $1 to the swear jar, and we donate it to charity at the end of each month.
I like it.
So we will have live scope shows coming up. There's another $1. So it's it's a little fun we can do around there, but I was thinking about taking out the jig head minnow, seeing as though it's been a powerhouse of the forward facing regime, if you will. That's not any shot
again.
There's another $3 there. I'm gonna go broke. But it's we're not doing it as anti. We're doing it to make some fun out of a seemingly negative conversation right now, and one that's talked about a lot. So it's up to you guys if you want to join in that. But do you think we should take out jig head minnow and a rig from this equation? It's okay to say yes or no.
I don't know. Those are two like givens. I feel like everybody's got at least a jig head minnow tied on now. Maybe not an A-rig, but
okay.
Yeah, I think that jig head minnow has been, the A-rig is kind of a given for many, many years now. That jig head minnow is really just starting to show up, I feel like, in the last couple of years, due to he who we will not mention, or the technology we will not mention. But
my man's steering clear of that dollar.
yeah, I got to save every money for that every dollar for that down payment for this house, man.
Hey, you never know. It could be the charity could be Trevor Lowe's new house.
There you go. GoFundMe for my down payment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Jordan was saying, dude, A-rig is such a powerhouse this time of year, and through the colder winter months. But that jig head minnow, I feel like it's really starting to get a lot of attention in the last couple of years. But I don't know. I'm okay either way. I hope that it just doesn't take over the bracket the way it's been taking over this industry.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out here.
Here you go, Bailey. You can take out the jig head minnow because everyone knows that's a given, and add in the blade bait.
Ooh. Okay.
I
like that a lot, actually.
Because as we move further into fall, you know how much the blade bait can play. So,
yeah.
And you can almost do like blade bait and jigging spoon because the jigging spoon has a spot as well.
All right, we'll throw that in there as well then.
Because they kind of fit the same category. You fish them in the same spot. So
it makes sense. All right, so to run these down, and feel free when we run through these to call out anything that might be missing, so we can really get the best fall bait. And what we'll do is, here's the premise. It's not just going for big ones. This is just purely if you're going to go out looking to catch bass and bites, and we have more confidence on as a fall bait. That's how we're going to go across how we decide these baits when they go head to head. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So we have the drop shot. I put this one on here for you, Jordan, because it's not going to resonate too hard for us Northerners, but we got the frog.
Yeah. Up till about a week ago, the frog resonated, but now it's too cold.
Don't sleep on it just yet, Andy.
Yeah, but I'm smallmouth fishing. They ain't eating it. I'm telling you, in 40 foot of water. So
hey, he ain't trying.
One go.
You haven't thrown it on a Carolina rig yet.
That's right. Yeah. There's a content idea.
Bro frog challenge.
Yeah. All right. So then we have an underspin. We got the A-rig. We got the blade bait / jig and spoon, a glide bait, jerk bait, football jig, fluke, square bill. You got the old deadly Nedley, a buzz bait, a tube, chatterbait, spook, spinner bait, single swimmer, and then a deeper diving crankbait. I really didn't know whether to go like a certain depth on that, but deeper than like throwing like a, like whether it's a rock crawler or 5XD OSP type of deal. But fall wise, is there anything else that rings for you guys that we might have missed?
Did I miss you saying buzzbait, or is it not?
We got buzzbait.
Okay.
Number 12.
I got you. Oh,
we're gonna mix these up too. This is not unlike any standard order or ranking. We're gonna shuffle these around like I just did here. But anything else I might have missed before we get started?
I mean, up here in northern country, I feel like a swim jig is got to be on there. But I mean, you could mix that in with a chatterbait or whatnot.
Oh, let's throw them in there. We'll have a lone wolf. We'll put the swim jig in there at 19.
So somebody's gonna have a random buy. I like it.
Who's gonna have the buy right now? Let's see. Oh, there is no buy.
The
tube. Sorry, the tube. As of right now, we'll shuffle this around. Give me Trevor. Give me a number 1 through 10.
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, who's getting the buy? Blade bait's getting the buy. There you go, Andy. You should
Love
make it
it. Heck yeah.
Fish that's good because it pertains to the colder months.
Yeah. All right, speak now. Forever hold your peace. Anything else we're missing? All right, let's let this thing rock. Let's start our tournament here. I think I can blow these up a little. Oh, there we go. Can you guys see that a little bit clearer now?
Yep.
Yeah, that's better.
I want to see. Oh, actually. Oh, here we go. All right. Now we're
Look at you.
I'm learning technology, guys. It's the first time.
Oh man.
It's not just live scope. Here's another $1. All right. Oh, single swimmer's got to buy. Okay. All right. So first one we have head to head again. Winners advance, kind of same like March Madness bracket here, but we got our best fall fishing baits. So we got the Ned rig and the football jig, and to make sure we have a tiebreaker, Andy is our tiebreaker. Okay. So we're gonna start with you and Jordan, Trevor, you and Jordan, and then we'll go Trevor first, Jordan second, and then if we need a tiebreaker, we'll have Andy hop in there if needed. But
this is solely based on just catching fish, right?
Solely based on confidence of launching the boat and catching the fish in the fall.
Dude, it's got to be a Ned rig. I love a football jig. It's like my favorite bite.
I feel like. I'm with it. What do you think, Jordan?
Yeah, Ned rig 100% for numbers. I mean, I love a football head jig, but some days they just don't bite it. But that Ned rig, even if you don't catch a bass, you're going to catch a stripe or something, some kind of trash fish. So I'm going Ned rig.
I was not expecting the Gville guy to say, "Hey, Ned rig."
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in you, Jordan, because I was going football jig to break you here to get the dang flander out of here. All right, like
I hope none of my friends are watching because they're gonna make fun of me.
Oh, I hope they all are.
Just for that, we're gonna clip it and put it on social.
Done. That's what we do here. We just break dreams.
There's our slogan. Thank you, Andy. Yeah, we talk bass.
Put it on a t-shirt.
All right, next one we got the chatterbait versus the square bill. What do you got, Trevor?
You want me to start on all these, or should we alternate just so that it's not?
Sure, yeah. Let's alternate.
Go ahead, Jordan.
That's a tough one, but I'm gonna have to go chatterbait.
All right, makes sense.
I will second that.
Dang, all right, 2 for 2 on making these easy on Andy, guys.
Yeah, come on. I want to challenge you, all right? Make me think.
We want to make fun of Andy, guys. Come on. All right, so chatterbait moves on. Oh, he's got a tough matchup next. Ooh. We got the swim jig versus a deeper diving crankbait.
Dude, I gotta go swim jig, man.
Now tell us for the fall northern. I mean, for anyone that follows you, you're a smallmouth guy. Why swim jig?
Dude, it's not really even just smallmouth. I mean, up here in the North Country, when it starts getting colder, even largemouth, they start pushing up into that shallow grass. And when they're in that grass, I mean, the only way to get them out of that grass or to get something through that grass is like throwing a swim jig, sort of a chatterbait, or like you're flipping a jig in some of that grass. So, I mean, it's a deeper diving crankbait, especially up here, is not really going to play unless it's like middle of summer when they're out on the edges of that grass and the rock, kind of in those transition areas when they get schooled up. But once they start pushing up shallow, I don't think a deeper diving crankbait really plays up here anymore.
Okay. Jordan, what do you got, man?
I'm going swim jig too.
What?
Yeah.
I'm so mad right now.
I mean, it's all depending. It's all depending on your style of fishing. You know, this time of year,
that's fair.
Fishing the Tennessee River, they're starting to draw it down. So I like to get up in the river. So, I mean, deep diving. You know, if you're running like grass lines and stuff, deep diving's not very effective, and at least for the style that I like to fish. So I'm going swim jig.
I guess I should have asked. Are you a Gville? You catching them on the ledges kind of Gville guy, or I should have noticed based on the content that your Gville stay less than 5 feet and frog and fish off the grass. So
yeah. I'm on Gunnersville most of the time. I am big rods, punching, frogging stuff, but except for like May, I would say June, July, and early August I'll be offshore. But any other time, I'm going to be shallow as I can be.
I love it.
Oh, and the wintertime. I'll fish deep in the wintertime, but
all right. Swim jig moves on. All right.
I'm so disappointed. Bailey, we have had some days throwing a deeper diving crankbait for some smallmouth in the fall up here. Particularly one I remember quite vividly in Santa Claus suits getting honked at by every car that went by.
That video is still live. If anybody wants to watch, in 45 minutes, 2 fat dudes catch 26 pounds deep cranked for smallmouth.
And it was like 48-degree water. It was unreal.
Yeah, it was quite humorous, actually. I think I fell on the boat a couple times. It basically looked like drunk Santa trying to smallmouth fish, and it was an interesting one. Yeah. It was fun. We got to bring that back this year, Andy.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And every time a car honks, we're going to donate $1 to charity. Like, just another thing to do.
We'll put a big poster board on above your motor that says "honk for charity."
Yes.
We'll spend where this place is located is there's a very major highway, so we might very likely spend $1,000 after that day.
Like literally, the highway runs adjacent, and you're 100 yards from the highway, just jacking giant smallmouth. It's so fun.
As long as in the video, after you guys edit it, you have something in the bottom right corner that is the honk counter.
The honk counter? Yeah.
Honk
You
counter.
just want to make editing a living nightmare, don't you?
Yeah.
Ding.
That'd be insane.
Hey, sounds like you got to come over here and join us, Trevor.
Sounds like you got to record and edit it to me.
There you go.
Jordan, have you come north for smallmouth yet?
I have never been further north than North Carolina, but
buddy, we're changing that.
It's definitely on the bucket list. I want to chase some of the northern smallies.
You come up to our neck of the woods or Trevor's neck of the woods, and you will have yourself a time.
Oh, I know it.
It's not fun.
You got 2 great guides to put you on some big smallmouth in here.
That's right.
We'll have to make it happen.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right. Well, we got through the what do they call it? The first of
Wild
64
card
round. Is that what they call
Wild
it?
card.
Wild card round.
Wild card. All right, we got through that. We're in the bracket now. We're in the meat of it. So first matchup, we got the single swimmer, which through our randomizer came in as the top spot. So single swim bait versus the old deadly Nedley.
What you got, Jordan? You can go.
Ned rig.
Oh my god,
dude, your friends are roasting you later.
Yeah.
Trevor.
Andy knows my answer. It's a swimmer.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a swimmer.
My heart is full.
Now, I got to get the Ned rig out here. I'm going single swimmer all day.
Dang.
Oh, all is right in the world.
All is right.
I can't tell you the last time I actually threw a Ned rig and caught a bass. It's just something I do not put in my arsenal.
You know what's funny is I actually don't hardly ever throw the Ned rig. I just know that it catches them.
Oh my gosh! Like
I will say though, to be fair, it was mid-November. I was with Destin DeMary and Jeff Hipper, and I had one of the best days of my entire life smallmouth bass fishing, and I caught them all on a Ned. It was when the lake was turned up, and I put that TRD spins in the back of a Max Scent Little General because the water was a little bit dirtier, and I think we had I think we caught, it was like 112. I'm trying to remember what it was. Something ridiculous amount of bass. I had like 28.5 pounds myself. Jeff had 28. Like we all had a ridiculous bag. I had like a 612 all in the freaking Ned rig.
Dude,
Does that little spinner thing you stay in there pretty good?
Oh yeah.
Really?
The Ned rig is insane in the springtime on Pickwick for the smallmouth.
Wait a sec. Okay, you're going out spring fishing and you're picking up a Ned rig? You're southern. You're southern. Your southerners should be denounced.
He's denounced right now. All right, he's gone.
He's taken off the street.
I'm talking February, March. Before
that's like 70 degrees.
Winter for us.
Yeah, we're freezing up here.
Yeah, we're still ice fishing, man.
I'll take it though. We got a comment here from Dave Raleigh that says, "But who the hell is Ned?"
That's so good.
That's awesome.
Howdy doodly.
Devin says, Jordan, you'd make one hell of a northern smallmouth. That's awesome. Jordan, I guess you're made for the north, buddy. I'm sorry.
I guess. Hey, but I hate old, so
you better put those big rods down and just carry a ferry stick with you the rest of your life. All right, like have a time.
It's all right, Jordan. We'll bring you back on for the summer bracket so that you can get all your street cred back.
One bait, summertime. One bait.
Ned rig. I could actually get on board with that.
Texas
rig, go to the moon.
Texas rig, drop shot, Carolina rig,
weightless
rig, weightless, you name it.
Hey, I can't argue that. Can't argue it. All right. We got 9 versus 8 here. We got the fluke versus the spinnerbait. Trevor.
Dude, honest to God, I never throw a fluke, so I'll have to go with the spinnerbait.
Spinnerbait? Okay. All right. Jordan?
Fluke.
I knew that was coming. Okay, now you're southern and showing. Andy, you're the tiebreaker here, man. Fluke or spinnerbait?
Well, we've had this conversation plenty of times. I prefer spinnerbait over a chatterbait in the fall, so I'm going spinnerbait.
Spinnerbait takes it. I was never a fluke guy either, but I'm trying to force myself to throw it and learn it more because I know it freaking catches fish. It drives me mad. but it's also broken my heart the times I have thrown it.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Jordan, actually, I'll pitch this question to you because we had on Emil Wagner a while back, and I was coming off of a tournament I had on Norman where I dumped a big old bag of Norman bass because of a fluke, and it drove me freaking crazy. What is your setup for a fluke, like confidence to actually hook them, catch them, get them in the boat?
Most of the time, I know a lot of guys don't like doing it like this, but I'll just throw a belly weight hook, super light, small hook, and you get a bunch of bites, but you also miss them. And I've been working on perfecting the little coffee straw trick. If you've heard about it, you take a little coffee straw and run it through the head and run your line through there, and you can tie a treble hook to it. And I've been trying to perfect that to make it kind of dart perfectly every time I do it. And I've actually got a video planned coming up soon on Smith Lake where I'm going to be doing that. So I'm looking forward to that because I haven't been to Smith in a while. And, they just go crazy on the fluke in the fall time out there. So.
Oh, yeah.
It's funny you mentioned, Jordan, the first place I ever threw a fluke was on Smith Lake. I have this buddy down there, and he kind of put me onto it, and I was like, he's throwing it on a bait caster, and I'm sitting here like, dude, how can you even tell when that fish bites, because that bait's so far out, just twitching, and he's like, you just gotta watch your line, buddy, and I couldn't do it, man. I had to pull out the spinning rod and try to get him on, because I couldn't hook up with him for some reason. It just seemed like if you just don't have that feel for it and kind of knowing when that fish is on, I feel like you're missing so many bites.
Yeah, they can be real finicky for sure. Yeah. I like to fish mine as close to the water or as close to the top of the water as possible. So a lot of times when they hit it, they're blowing up on it.
Yeah.
Here we go. We got one freaking fluke hammer in here. We got our boy Frostin' Austin, Mr. Austin Neary says slow reel, no twitches. Alabama, shake it like a swim jig.
Alabama.
Sounds like we're doing a little jig head minnowing. Weightless is what it sounds like.
Weightless.
What technology would you use that with, Andy?
I think we're doing some eyesight technology.
Oh, you jerk!
Swear jar, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, I'll say, hey, the swear jar right now, the counter's at $11. So hey, we're making headway.
No forward-facing talk here for me. Dang it!
Oh, right. Here you go.
12.
12.
I'll give you one.
Thanks for the $1, pal. I appreciate it.
I'm up to $2.
You're up to $2.
No, I think I'm actually at 3, but $2 from last episode.
All right. Underspin versus a spook. What is that clicking sound? Did anybody else hear it?
Yeah, I can hear it.
Is that me?
Probably.
No, I think you're good now. I don't hear it now. Oh, now I hear it.
It's not me because I just muted my mic and it was still doing it.
I don't think me, but
weird.
You
got pop rocks in your mouth, Trevor?
I no.
I don't know what that is.
Let's see.
We'll figure it out. It's all good.
Probably.
Yeah, I think it is you, Trevor.
It is Trevor. Yeah.
Well then. Oh. Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Probably dying.
I don't know what it is. All I know is there'll be some boomer afterwards that it says, I'm unsubscribing from this podcast because of your 10 seconds of pop rocks. I just know that's how it goes these days. But it's all good. We'll have Jordan go in your stead.
Here you go. Just got some gentle. He keeps training the gentle farts over and over again.
He was trying to be sneaky. I think he's going to close out and come back out. That was
gentle farts.
Dude, I don't know.
You got to dial, Jordan. That's what Austin here is saying with that belly keeled weight.
Hey, well, that's good to hear because I know he catches them. So if he's saying I'm doing it right, then that's good.
Yeah. Frost and Austin can catch him. I think we're good now, Trevor. I don't hear it.
We're good. All right.
You let your gas pass.
That's right.
All
Those
right.
gentle farts. When I left the studio, they weren't so gentle, but yeah, I'm gonna go with spook walking bait for this one.
Devin Willis is not unsubscribing, so thank
Hey, he hasn't won yet. We don't know. Jordan will probably be like, "Hey, I hate a top water. I hate power fishing. I'm not from the South."
I really like a walking bait, but if we're going straight numbers, the underspin for me.
Oh. Sorry, Devin. It was good having you as a subscriber.
So many more. Like, we're just talking.
We're not done yet, all right? We're not.
If we're just talking fall fishing, I have a lot better numbers on the, at least in the last couple years. I started throwing it a lot more, and yeah, I'm going underspin.
Bro, I don't know if we can save you from your friends. you might lose 1,000 subs tonight after this show. If we had on paper right now, Trevor's answers versus your answers, you'd think
Trevor's the
Jordan, you're from Minnesota.
Yeah, it's flip flopped, man, completely.
I love it though. I love it. I'm here for it.
Hey, we got to mix it up.
That's right. All right, Andy, be the tiebreaker.
Since like 90% of the country is in a fall transition, that's where we're at right now. I just have a soft place in my heart for spook walking bait, so I'm going with that one. You catch the biggest bass in the fall on the top water, but as you transition and the water really, really cools down, there's a great time to move to an underspin. I'll throw it when that water's like 41 to 43 degrees, and that's a great big bite getter at that point.
Yeah, does the water even get that cold down there, Jordan? 41, 43?
Normally about 40, upper 40s, mid to upper 40s, about average on wintertime.
Yeah, we see ice 32.
Yeah, that's
I have seen in late or no, sorry, it wasn't late November. It was early Feb. I have seen 38, 39 on Chickamauga.
Yeah, I think
back in the creek, but
one of the coldest that I remember was 40 to 41 on Gunnersville, and that was two winters ago.
But your guys' cold is like worse than our cold.
Yeah. Oh, is it?
Because it's damp. It's that humid cold. It's damp. It's moist.
Yeah, no, seriously, dude. The coldest I've ever been in my entire life was I was fishing on Chickamauga with my buddy Caleb Bell and Alex Rudd, and it was like, I think it was 40, like 38 to 40 degrees, but it was pouring rain, and I would take 10 degrees here in the north over 38 in rain in Tennessee.
I've heard people say that before, but I've never been up north, so I wouldn't know.
Come ice fishing with us. We can experiment. You can see what the cold's like up here.
I'll pass on that. I will take up the summertime Smalley trip, though.
That's when it's hard.
Yeah, that's when it's tough. You want the springtime or the fall, man.
You want like just coming out of winter where you go on the main lake and there's still icebergs floating around. Or you want it just before the icebergs get here. And that's like when it's like, it's when it's real fun. They don't fight worth a dang, but it's when it's fun.
We'll get you dialed. Don't worry. But a summer mission still is worth it, especially if you're going shallow. I feel like Great Lakes shallow summer is pretty fun too.
It's all fun.
It's all fun. It's the north, man. It's the land of dumb fish. That's why we live here.
Depends.
All right. Next one. Jerkbait versus the glide bait.
Jordan, this one's going to be tough for you because there's no fairy stick involved unless you throw a jerkbait on a spinning rod like some northerners do. So I'll be interested to see your answer here.
Jerkbait, 100%.
Are you throwing that on a spinning rod based on your other answers?
7.3 medium heavy.
7.3 medium heavy? Woo. What kind of bass are you catching?
Big ones, Trevor.
Stripers.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, the jerkbait. This should be like a first round buy. I think it's
agreed. There is a cool bite, I will say, in the fall time that I've experienced again on Chickamauga, but throwing a glide along bluff walls, that has been pretty dang cool. I definitely, there is a place for a glide in the fall, depending where you're at. But yeah, universally jerkbait, 100% by a mile. But I'll throw it to both of you guys too. What jerkbait like brand model are you picking up first?
Berkeley Stunner.
Ooh, okay.
Vision 110.
They're the same, basically. One's just Abu and one's Megabass. They're both.
You mean Berkeley there, pal?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
You can do it. Come on, Mr. Lure Lab. You're supposed to be on top of this stuff.
My bad. My bad.
All
Yeah.
right.
What did I say? Pure fishing?
No, you said Abu.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Abu.
It's all the same. Giant
New Abu Garcia Stunner.
that'd be some sweet packaging, though.
Yeah, it would.
It'd probably be
All right.
red.
Yeah, red.
I mean, they're both
red
red.
and white.
Yeah, that's right. They are both
You
red.
can get the same.
Red.
Both red and black.
All right. I think we might have a clear-cut, easy answer for this one, but
Oh,
you never know.
this hurts
with
my
Jordan
heart.
here. You might say Mini Max over.
Don't sleep on the Mini Max,
Hey,
all right? For Jordan, I'm sure it's his favorite on a spinning rod.
Jordan's just catching all the hell. New guy on the block. He's getting all the shit out. All right, Trevor, what do you got, man?
My bad.
It hurts my heart because the chatterbait's near and dear to me, but it's probably the A-rig.
You don't even you can't even throw an A-rig technically in Minnesota. It's the Minnesota rig.
Yeah, I mean it's got blades. It's got blades and it's got one hook. So
What's
it
funny
gets
is about the first round on the chatterbait. When I picked it, my wife's in the other room next to me, and she sent me a text that I knew you were going to pick chatterbait.
Oh
That's
my
awesome.
god.
So where are you going this time?
Mini Max.
Mini Max.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah, 100%.
I was joking.
No, Mini Max. That thing crushes them.
The thing crushes.
Love it.
You gotta think about how much pressure we get down here. Like the Mini Max,
That's
I would
awesome.
probably catch 3 to 4 times more fish than throwing a jackhammer or something. But when the jackhammer first came out, it was lights out. But it's definitely not the first one I pick up anymore.
Now that's a compliment right there.
Austin said you're a spirit animal, Jordan. I love it. There you go. All right, Andy, you're the tiebreaker, bro.
I mean, I'm gonna have it tied on all week. 20-pound test,
Mini Max.
8-foot rod,
Mini Max.
A-rig.
Mini Max.
Mini Max.
Could you imagine? Just it would go nowhere on that stick. Like,
Yeah. Well, we're on the topic. I'm actually curious because the Mini Max is freaking deadly.
it's so
It
good.
definitely has its situation. Jordan, I'll ask, and Austin's actually asking here. Go-to trailer, but walk through your whole setup if you don't mind for throwing the Mini Max.
Trailer depends. In the fall, I like the X-Zone Swammer, like the 3.5 or 4-inch. But I will throw the Spunk Shad a lot too, like in the warmer months. But as far as line, I'd normally keep 12-pound fluoro, Berkeley Trilane 100% fluoro, 7.3 medium heavy ducket or a 7.4 heavy ducket. And
Heavy.
just
Damn.
yeah, depending. Well, I think the
Mini Max has got a good hook on it.
Yeah, and I want to say it's a 5/8 ounce, or it might just be the half. But yeah, I like the heavy if I'm fishing like some hydrilla or something. But if I'm just open water, running lay downs or edge of grass lines, eelgrass, stuff like that, then I'm gonna throw the lighter rod, the 7.3 medium heavy.
All right. It almost sounds like a trap setup for Gville.
Yeah, I like the 7.3 medium heavy for a trap too. Unless I'm really wanting to rip it, then I'll put it on heavy. But
That's such a foreign concept to me, throwing a treble hook bait on a heavy rod, aside from like a big glide or something like that. So that's
the movement that started down there, isn't it, Jordan? Where it's like the 7-11 heavy for trap with braid and everything.
I've never done that. The biggest I'll throw is the 7.4. I feel like I can get more, I guess you'd say, umph on it whenever I'm ripping it with a shorter rod. But one thing to keep in mind, like the ducket rods, is I feel like they're rated a little bit lighter than most of the rods that I've used. So, like a heavy is not as heavy as a lot of the other rod brands, in my opinion. But
all right, I dig it. That I love hearing it be advantageous in that environment too, because lot of the mini max to me, and that is inspirational in regards to go throw it more at different environments. But like for me, it was like every time I go down the Susquehanna or any little creek and river here up in New York, it was a smallmouth thing. Like for current, something that smallmouth would eat a little better with that 3-inch spunk shad on the back. But that's cool to hear that that's working down. But you might get some hateful DMs if that's after this one. After that, they're like, hey, bro, you need to not go back on that show ever again. I like it. All right, let's keep going here. We got the drop shot versus the buzz bait. Jordan, kick us off.
Buzz bait.
Trevor.
Drop shot.
You. All right, Andy.
That's Jordan Southern boy coming out for sure this time.
Yeah.
Am I smallmouth fishing or am I largemouth fishing, Bailey?
Both.
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Take the Great Lakes out of the equation because it's such a regional thing.
Bait.
All right.
To be honest, like if I leave the Great Lakes, I don't fish a drop shot. Maybe like 2% of the time. It's something that I don't even bring out on my boat deck if I'm going to the interstate waterways.
Devin, yes, they bite the living hell out of buzz baits.
10,000% yes.
What's your guys' go-to buzzer?
I don't really have a go-to, honestly. I'm pretty picky on a lot of baits, but the buzz bait, like most of the tackle I orders online, but as far as a buzz bait, I just go in Academy or somewhere, and I like a lighter, smaller profile buzz bait, and I look for one that does not have the little extra clacker on the top.
Yeah,
I don't like those, but
I'm big on that True South V-Twin. I don't know if you've tried that one yet, but that one's pretty nasty.
I normally just grab the Booyah. I do want to try those Crocodigators, though.
That's what I was going to say. The Crocodigator's got a good one that I've thrown around a little bit.
That seems to be gaining some popularity as well. Crocodigator people have been talking about that for a while. All right, let's keep this thing going because we're going to go on a bunch of tangents here. This is an interesting one. Polar opposites. We got the frog versus the tube. Trevor.
Do they throw tubes for largemouth down there, Jordan?
I don't.
Tubes, maybe. That's probably about it.
Give me the frog. Let's make this easy.
Jordan?
You don't
want my input here? Come on now.
No. Here we go, Andy. We're good. All right, see you, bud.
Sounds good.
JK. All right, swim jig versus blade bait / jig and spoon. Jordan, you're up.
Swim jig.
I think we know which one's going to win this one.
This is hard because, like, if I'm fall fishing, I'm smallmouth fishing, and if I'm smallmouth fishing, I'm not throwing a swim jig. So I'm just gonna go with the blade bait.
Oh. All right, Andy.
This one is hard because if I'm in the inner waterway in New York State, I am throwing a swim jig. But if I'm smallmouth fishing, I'm fishing a blade bait or jigging spoon. What if I caught more fish on and bigger fish? It's 100% all day a blade bait for me. So blade bait.
Dang, the swim jig goes down.
That was a bad matchup. It happens every time in the bracket, but
Austin's asking the Demiki axe blade, which he shouted out in last week's episode.
That's in that category, 100%.
So that would be more like what? That's a
tailspin.
Tailspin. That's what we forgot from this list. Tailspin. Probably could factor in the same category.
Yeah. I fish the I think it's a Fish Everything tailspin a lot, or 1,000 fish. I don't remember exactly what brand it is, but I've caught a lot of fish on that. 10,000 fish. Yeah, just slow rolling it on the bottom. And every once in a while, I'll give it like a pump, and they just come unglued on it.
I like that. Duo makes one with 2 hooks.
Yeah, that's pretty juicy.
All right, single swimmer versus the spinnerbait. What we got, boys?
I have a feeling this one's gonna be unanimous.
Dude, I'm gonna go with that single swimmer to the grave, man.
Oh boy, Jordan.
Single swimmer.
What?
I told you it was going to be unanimous based on all of his answers. He's getting.
I thought you meant for spinnerbait, to be honest.
Nah.
I don't care for a spinnerbait.
What?
I can't tell you the last time I.
Bye. I'm just kidding.
I can't. Man, he's never coming back.
Rick Clun is gonna slap you the time he sees you at the Classic. Oh man! All right, let's keep this train rolling. Spook versus a jerkbait.
Jerkbait for me.
Jerkbait.
Dang, these are just walking away with these. All right, a rig versus the buzzbait.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I'm gonna have to go. I know you can catch a ton on a rig, but I got to stick with my love for a buzzbait.
All right, we got one.
All right, Andy, it's on you.
Yeah, sorry. Buzzbait's gone. There's just nothing better than a smallmouth train wrecking a giant. Just train wrecking an A-rig from 3 inches of water to 50. It's just the best bite in the world.
See, this is part of why I wanted to take the A-rig out of the equation here. What could have been a little bit more festive and a little hard answers here, but
it's going down.
It's got
Don't worry.
All right, frog versus the blade bait.
Complete opposites again.
What we got, boys?
Uh,
We make some people mad in this one.
I'm going blade bait. All
Blade
right,
bait.
that works.
What you
Frog.
got, Jordan?
Frog.
You know my answer.
I got Mr. Kermit.
All right, Andy. So you're going into an inland lake. You're not going to Erie.
I mean, the water temps now in those inland lakes is gonna be pretty dang cold, and I want to catch them
It's
deep.
not pretty dang cold. It's still probably in the high
soon.
50s.
Yeah, it's getting pretty dang cold soon enough.
Oh, come on.
It's going to be 42 degrees tonight and 43 degrees tomorrow night. So it's going to be pretty cold pretty soon.
Pretty warm.
Blade bait, jig and spoon, tailspin, crack them.
Sorry, Jordan. I was trying to pull for the frog, man.
Andy, you throw that around grass at all?
If there's a defined weed edge, yes, so it doesn't get hung up. But yeah, absolutely. You could even, like, I've even had clients where I've literally had them crawl a blade bait over like rock flats and try to keep it right off the bottom, just like on a slow roll, and they just come unglued on it.
Yeah.
It's like a silent vibrating trap. It's awesome.
Yeah, we'll throw it around the like patches of eelgrass in the sand. It will rip it through that, but you know, if it's like pretty thick coontail or milfoil, we're not going to be throwing a blade bait around that.
I have heard of folks in the South, you know, especially like Florida, instead of throwing the trap, you're throwing the blade bait instead, which I thought that was pretty intriguing. Andy, it sounds like old Frost in Austin wants to make a north trip here.
Yeah, Frost in Austin is welcome anytime after like October, and I have a free day or two. We'll go catch some smallmouth if the weather allows it. Anytime. All right. We are down to our final four, gents. We got the single swimmer, the jerk bait, A-rig, and the blade bait. I think we all probably could have guessed this final four. We're going to see what takes the cake here. What do we got? We got single swimmer versus the jerk bait. Trevor, who we got?
To the grave, man. I'm telling you.
Jordan?
Jerk bait.
Ooh. Here we go, Andy. What do you got? Single swimmer or the jerk bait?
If it was spring, my answer would be completely opposite, I think.
We're talking it's just fall, bro.
Bite, but I'm going single swimmer. Number one seed prevails. Sorry.
Hey, you know what I just now noticed that's not on there and is one of my favorite baits?
What's that?
A shallow, like a mid-depth crankbait.
Well, that could have been factored in like the deep dive, like the
crap.
Deep. That's what I tried to preface it from the beginning, like something deeper than a square bill. I didn't want to put a depth range on the thing.
Oh, I got you.
See, this whole bracket's now skewed.
I thought
we got to start over, guys.
Yeah, we got to start all over. You got another. You guys got another hour in you, right? All right, single swimmer makes it to the championship round. we have 2 versus 3. That's actually not bad. A-rig versus the blade bait. What you got,
Go ahead,
Trevor?
Jordan. Go
I'll
ahead,
go.
Jordan.
What is it?
A-rig.
A-rig. Okay. Trevor's fighting
It's probably
internally.
the
Either he's
A-rig.
you know what?
Man.
It's probably the A-rig. As much as I love throwing a blade bait, if I just need to get bites and cover water, man, it's probably the A-rig.
Dang, I was gonna go blade bait. That stinks.
Well, I think we definitely could have answered this one.
Well, and I think like the A-rig, it's got a longer, season. If that makes sense.
yeah,
like
you
that
can
blade
catch 'em on
bait.
it all year.
Yeah, and I think you catch them from 60-degree water all the way down into the 40s. Where that blade bait really starts to shine in that upper 40s to lower 40s. So
I'm with you on that one.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Championship round, gents. Single swimmer
grave.
versus the A-rig.
To the grave, baby.
Oh my god.
Dude, I have like 6 variations of single swimmers tied up right now for tomorrow.
All right. Top 2. What do you got?
You're talking my top 2?
Yeah, sorry. Top 2 like single swimmers. You said you got 6 variations. Let's hear them.
3.
I can already answer that for you.
Go ahead, Andy.
The spark shad and a Kayak.
That's exactly right.
Okay, what's your third?
It's a bigger Kayak, but I guess you could say like I'm trying a variation of the Berkeley Cull Shad. I'm going to try to do some putzing around tomorrow with it and see if we can get a couple to eat that. So
all right, like the unrigged Cull Shad.
No, it's rigged, but I did some Frankensteining to it to make it look a little different.
Oh, so you're gonna have some people sliding in your DMs tonight.
Nah.
All right, Jordan.
On red.
This is for the winner.
Yeah.
This is
what
for
you
the
got? This is for the winner.
Cinco. No, I'm just joking. I'm going single swimmer.
Oh,
Ooh.
I'm actually happy that A-rig didn't win. We have your champion, people. The single swimmer takes the cake.
There's a case you can make that the single swimmer could win every season.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep. 100%. Now, so you dropped a couple that you like, Trevor. Jordan, what does your single swimmer go to?
I like to downsize this time. So the swammer, the Exxon swammer, like a 3.5 or 4 inch. It's the same one I throw on the Mini Max as a trailer. I like that one, and then the True Bass. They're pretty good, especially in the spring. True Bass is killer in the current.
Yeah, that's a big Tennessee River deal, ain't it? That True Bass stuff. Yeah.
That stuff works up north too.
I would imagine so.
That's for dang sure. Andy, what about you, man?
I kind of throw them all, right? Like, because they're all situational based, but one that you probably should not sleep on is that Crush City Mayor. That thing gets a lot of bites. So throw an oddball in there because I do like them all. I'm a big Cast Prodigy guy. I like a Hasdong Shad over a Spark Shad. Kayak 3.3, Rage Swimmer 3.25. They're all great. Skinny Dipper on an A-rig is phenomenal, as Frost and Austin is saying. Not so much on like a jig head, but for me personally. But yeah, it depends on the day. I've seen days where like you can throw all 5 of them in there and they only want one of them with a certain action. So it's good to have all your tools ready.
That Venture Lures one on like a 1/2 ounce, because you got to really get that thing going, and that thing thumps like a chatterbait. That one's pretty fun too, and you can throw it on a bait caster and really crack them with it.
I feel like I only throw a single swimmer on a bait caster. I'm not gonna lie. Oh yeah, it's just way more fun to set the hook on 12-pound tests and boat flip them.
For sure.
For a guy that lives in Buffalo and I guide for smallmouth, I look for every opportunity that I can put a spinning rod down and actually set the hook.
Yeah,
So
I hear you.
I force it on some things. Like, who can I throw this 1/4 ounce 2.75 on a bait caster? You betcha. Like, let's do it.
Can I throw this snack craw on a heavy action rod?
Yes.
Is it? Are you talking about this
The
one,
Great Lakes.
Trevor?
Oh yeah,
I've never thrown that. I've never
Dude,
seen that. I like the color. It's called Holy Moly.
Gotta get
yeah.
some
That
of those.
that thing kicks like a chatterbait, dude. The whole rod just.
All right, I'll have to give that a shot.
Yep.
Yeah, they're
I'll
pretty
have to
sweet.
leave a link down
Putting in the
below for
cart
you guys.
now.
If anybody
You
else.
got.
No,
Like
I gotta
said,
get
though,
that clown color.
you got to get those things like moving pretty quick for them to kick. You can't. It's not really like a slow roll deal. So if you wanted to kick and you wanted to stay on the bottom, you got to throw a big heavy one. Otherwise, you're gonna be a little high in the water column. So
All
like
right.
a 1/2 ounce or something like that.
All right.
Bait caster worthy.
That's right.
Andy knows I love catching them on spinning on the swimmers. That's 7.6 medium light, and then I dude, I don't know what it is. I got so much confidence in a freaking Strike King
That's
range
like
swimmer.
That's like a hair
3 1/4 inch.
jig rod, man. 7.6 medium light.
Yeah, but dude, you don't even really need to set the hook. Like they set the hook for you, and
Yeah.
you just got to reel. You're not gonna lose a fish on that 7.6. That's for dang sure. But I love like an owner ultra head, just a creep on bottom. Strike King.
That's my favorite.
Swimmer. Ghost Shad, I think it's the color.
I've noticed, like because I throw a little swimmer so much up here on Mille Lacs, like I've tried so many different ball head jigs, and I feel like that owner, the hook point doesn't roll nearly as much as the other ones will.
That 5313 hook is a bad little dude.
Yeah. I mean, I can get that thing pinned in rocks and, 3-4 times and, you still touching it. It's sticky sharp. It's sticking to your fingernail and everything like that. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. If I remember correctly, that's a slightly thicker gauged hook on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a 5313.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good hook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Jordan, were you say something there?
No. I'm just listening.
He's filling out his application to become a smallmouth northern
we're
fisherman.
Folks over here.
And you got some in Pickwick and Gunnersville. Wheeler's got some too, right? So
yeah, Wheeler, I don't know. There's a lot in there, but they're just hard to target, at least for me. But Pickwick, man, every February and March, that's where I'm staying because that's the best time down here to catch some smallmouth.
How's that little lake above it? Still put out those absolute giant bags of smallmouth in the fall.
Yeah, it's a little gem. I'm sure if anybody's watching, they're probably like, crap, don't say that.
That's why I tried not to say the name of it. All right. Like,
yeah, I guess that was my bad.
Yeah, this is live, bro. Sorry. There's no editing on this.
I was trying to be like kind of low key about, but no, like I feel like if there's anywhere down south that you can go and catch a giant smallmouth, it's that lake. For whatever reason, it's just got big. Plus, is it Saxton Long is the one that will post like some giant smallmouth from there every fall. You're like, good God, yeah.
I've had a couple good days in the fall up there at the dam on Pickwick, but for the most part, the spring is like guaranteed to catch some big ones. Whether they're out there in the current on the main side, like down below the generators, or up in the horseshoe. It's really fun.
I think old Smallmouth Crush has a pretty highly viewed video for fishing that dam with some big hollow bellies, catching some giant bags of smallmouth.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I know Jordan hasn't been north of North Carolina, but have Bailey, Andy, either of you guys been to Idaho yet?
Not yet.
No, need to go.
Deacon is currently out there and says it's
is he?
bonkers. Well, yeah, he lives out there now.
I don't even want to go to Idaho. I want to go to like the other two states right before Idaho and like those secret hidden gem lakes that just have even bigger ones.
Yeah. I don't know. There's some good ones just to the west of us, but man, Idaho looks pretty special. What's that? Joe? Is it Joey?
Yeah, Joey Walters. I think.
Yeah, he's just like 6,
Unreal.
7, 8 pounders out of Door Shack every other day. It seems like.
He's got them as pets now. It looks like.
Yeah.
I would have never expected that out of that state too.
They're
Well, I think-
salmon eaters.
Yeah,
Just pure protein.
Yes.
there's a lot of hidden gems that I didn't realize about that are still remain hidden that I'm impressed have remained hidden for this long.
Yeah.
Shoot, like even
We're
in
gonna keep it that way. And
Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, there's all kinds of hidden gems that people don't talk about from what I've heard. So,
I mean, Minnesota,
get
we got
Indian
12,000
Americans.
lakes too. So
yeah, half of them have never been fished.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you could fish a new lake every day of your life. You wouldn't fish them all, man. There's
It's the same
way
way
too
as
many lakes.
Wisconsin, right? Like Wisconsin's basically the same amount of lakes,
if not
maybe a little less.
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but I remember I saw some Instagram video today as I was scrolling through my feed, and I'd love to get up and just see if there's any even bass fishing up in like Alaska, considering how many lakes they have up there. I mean, you got to imagine there's some that never seen a lure in their life.
I thought they were saying there was no bass in Alaska.
I don't
Is
think.
there?
I don't think
Too
there
cold?
is.
I think
Yeah.
they're lying. They're just telling you that so you don't go up there.
Could be.
There's only one way to find out, Trevor, but that's a long
Right.
trip to find out there's no bass.
Yeah. You got to fight some bears too.
Yeah, no kidding. Sorry, I got to tell a story real fast.
There are bass in Alaska.
There are?
Yes.
And in Guangdong and
In Guangdong.
Yeah. So there is a lake up there called Sand Lake in Alaska.
Why are you name dropping, man? Now it's gonna
Sorry.
get exposed.
and they're little. And the quote, like the
And they're
title
little.
on it is basically why non-native fish introductions can be a pain in the bass.
Pain in the bass. Nice
Pretty
title.
there you go.
Great title.
Pretty good. So yeah.
So real fast, this past weekend, I went and scouted some on this bear conversation here. I scouted some new public land that I have not been to before. But guy,
you standing on that hay bale?
no, that was different. That's actually this
Oh.
close to me. I was trying to see if there's any deer in existence on that property, so I was trying to get as high as I could. But I'll go to this piece of public, and I'm like, I might as well go in at dark and just try to figure out somewhere to sit for sunrise. And I'm walking in, whatever, and I'm scouting for the next couple hours, and I'm leaving out the same way. And I was trying to, usually when you're scouting hunting in general, you're looking up and around, obviously, but you're also looking down, especially if you have like some mud that you're looking for tracks. And so I'm the whole way I have my headlamp on, checking at the trail that I'm walking. All I see is deer tracks. And I'm leaving, and I see there's prints over my prints going back. There's no trucks, nothing at the parking lot. Like I could see the parking lot where I was sitting. There is a bear print bigger than my hand over my tracks. And this trail wasn't 200 yards away from where I was deciding to sit and go explore that morning. And I messaged this dude after I get out, because I'm like, I took a picture of it and I sent it to my dad, my brother, and I'm like, I'm not crazy, right? Like, that's a bear print. And because I had never seen it, in at least around Western New York. And they're like, my brother out in Utah is like, oh yeah, that sure as shit, that's a bear print. And I messaged this guy, I'm like, you see a lot of bears down here? And he goes, oh yeah, all the time. And I'm like, yep, nope, I'm never coming back.
They're not gonna hurt you. They're more scared. Those black bears are more scared of their own tail than they are of you.
Okay, you say that at 5 a.m. trying to get in the woods, and you see a black bear on the trail with you.
Listen, I walk the streams at 5 a.m. There's bear around. They don't. I'm not that.
Not
worried.
in rural Buffalo where you're at. There's ain't no freaking bears.
I'm
Yeah,
not in
I
rural
wanna hear that.
Buffalo walking streams. All right, like.
All right, before we get in an argument here, Andy, I'll change the subject.
Just like we had an argument about a composite rod over a graphite rod for chatterbaits for like 10 years.
You guys got to stop measuring bears, guys.
Whose truck is bigger?
Yeah. No, it was Bailey. It was just that landowner, or was it public? You said?
Yeah, it's public.
Just some guy came with roadkill bear paw, and he's like, oh, look at this,
It's like,
stamp
get
it
out.
down. Yeah.
I put up a few cell cans. I'm just waiting for it to show up. Just
You're gonna see a
confirm,
guy
like,
carrying a paw.
Yeah.
It's his lucky rabbit foot. That's all it is.
Right.
Well, what's crazy too is I'd seen throughout when I was scouting, I thought I'd seen bear poop. I'm like, I think it might be just big raccoon or whatever. Get back and see the track, and I'm like, damn it, dude. Like, well, those are his cell cams now. I ain't going back to go get them.
Oh goodness.
Crazy. But dudes, appreciate you guys taking time out. Jordan, appreciate you coming on the show for the first time. Looking forward to getting you on here again. And Trevor, man, appreciate you as always taking time out.
Absolutely.
And you guys dropping some knowledge on everybody.
Good to see you guys. Jordan, good to meet you.
Yeah, good to meet you. I appreciate y'all having me.
Yes, sir. We're gonna get you up north.
Yeah, let's do it. We gotta start planning.
Sounds perfect, man. Well, boys, appreciate you guys. And we're looking forward to get you both back on the show here real soon.
Sweet.
See y'all.
All right.
Have
See
a
you,
good
boys.
night, guys.
All right, folks, there you have it. Mr. Trevor Lo, no stranger to the show. I just rapped some bars right there. But dude, that was fun. It's been a minute since we did a bracket, and appreciate everybody that tuned in for that. What we'll do is for the majority of those baits that we talked through there, we will actually link down to Omni in case you guys want to go check them out. Anything you heard on the show that you want to check out at Omni, especially if you're a pro member, which is having insanely good pro pricing sales right now. You can save a ridiculous amount of money. Like it's $50 to be a pro member, and you can save beyond that. What I'll do though, is put those links down, but you can also use code series 10, save yourself 10% off your order. And then with the pro membership is you get that money back too. You get 10%, Andy, is of rewards back to your account. So if you spend $100, you get $10 put in your account. That's $10 of baits or whatever you can have come back to you. And obviously the more you spend, the more rewards you get. And then you get some pretty ridiculous map features too. So make sure you guys go check that out. Definitely want to incorporate more of these creative, fun stuff for the second parts of our show. There's some pretty exciting stuff coming up for 2025 already in the works, but we're going to incorporate some more fun and creative shows here for the coming months as we have some pretty cool shows lined up for the next few weeks, which I'll let you guys know here in a second. I'm pulling them up. So right now, next Tuesday night, we have lined up Mr. Cooper Gallant coming back on the show. And then you guys may have seen him on Mercer's podcast. I was actually supposed to be on a trip with him recently. We hopefully are doing that again here in a couple of weeks to reschedule. But if anybody's Trailer Park Boys fan, we're having Mr. Pat Roach, old Randy, coming on the show as well. So we're going to have some fun with Pat joining us next week as well. So we got two Canadians. We got a Canadian show next week, Andy.
Heck yeah. That's going to be great.
Yeah, which coming off of the was it the Pan Am Games, I believe it was. That they did up there in Canada. That'll be cool to talk to both because Cooper was competing on Team Canada, and obviously Pat was there to experience it all, be a part of it. So it'd be cool to kind of get their takes on it all. But in the weeks following, on the 22nd, our live show will have we have a double header as well. We might even be adding more guests to these shows. These are just as what we have right now. We have Josh Bertrand and Justin Lucas joining us for the show. So we're going to have them on the same time. So that's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. And then the week following, right now, we're still getting more guests lined up, as I mentioned, but we have Mr. Bryant Smith coming back on the show after the U.S. Open.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Hopefully we can get Julius Mazie. We've been talking to him a little bit, who just won a U.S. Open as well. Get him on there. Was it the U.S. Open or one Bass? I apologize for butchering that. But Julius will be joining us the show in the next couple of weeks. We're trying to get a date locked down, but we are talking with him on getting him back on the show. So great couple weeks coming up. Great couple weeks to look forward to because it is going to be a hectic November for me. There's might be a chance where Andy might be rocking solo in November, or we might have to do a pre-recorded show for you guys. But either way, we're going to figure it out. Great couple shows. I just got totally distracted by this comment from Dave that says, rather deal with bears than meth gators.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Is that's actually a thing?
I mean,
meth gators are a thing?
I'm sure. Florida, man, you just never know what's going on down there.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I texted my dad because my parents, for folks who may not know, my parents, grandparents, basically my whole family ditched me and went to Florida. So I'm still here in New York. My brother's in Utah. My parents thankfully made it. They went to Miami to get away from this storm. I was texting my dad, though. I'm like, this is like 3 hurricanes in 2.5 years, basically.
Yeah.
I was like, you ready to move back north now? Like, did you have your adventure and your fun dealing with Mother Nature? Are you ready to come back to the cold? And I didn't get a no, so we'll see. but craziness down there, man. Really feeling for the folks. Hope everybody stays safe. That's in the path of the hurricane, or hopefully they got out in time. Just sucks, man. Mother Nature is a better term, a fickle bitch.
Yeah, right now she's a Cat 5. Let's hope she downgrades to at least a 2. But the issue is when the hurricanes downgrade, they get bigger and you get more storm surge. So it's kind of, which would you rather have, a quick moving storm that's got 150 to 170 mile an hour winds, or something that slows down and brings more flooding possibilities? So
I don't know, man.
Tough to say.
It's above my pay grade. Either way, it sucks.
Yeah, either way, it does suck.
Yeah, man. Especially with all the stuff that's happened in the Carolinas. Again, those links are down below. If anybody is able to go and help, it is much appreciated. And I really thank everyone that reached out to us after that show. Some amazing feedback. Appreciate you guys. I know we got some credit for putting that thing together, but all credit goes to Austin, who's been in the comments tonight. He's the freaking man, coming on that show and dropping a bunch of juice on us, but also being real with it too. And if you guys have missed that one, I encourage you to go back and listen to that with Austin. That was last week's episode. But feeling for them, and if you're able to help, there are all the links down below where you can go and do so. It's cool to see there's a kayak tournament actually that you can get involved in. You don't even have to fish it. I don't have time to fish it. You don't even need to have a kayak. But you can donate, or you can enter that tournament, and 100% of the proceeds. Dwayne Wally at Tourney X, shout out, a great dude. Made the settings on Tourney X so that all the proceeds go to that foundation. So it's a really cool deal, and they're giving away a bunch of prizes too, especially if you do well in the tournament. So, really well done. Great way to get involved. Cool to see all the anglers get in and support. But, Andy, great show tonight. Thank you, Mr. Ty Berger, for coming on, talking about the summer to fall transition. For the MP3 folks, that was the previous episode. And so in case you missed that one, go back and definitely listen to that one. There's a lot of good learning lessons there. But, great fun week, great show, and I'm feeling extra motivated this week. I don't know what it is, but we have a bunch of great shows coming up in the coming weeks.
Love it.
Going to be a great fall. Hopefully people keep catching them. Tag us in your pictures if you guys are catching them. We still have some Serious Angler hats for sale. Hopefully we got some new apparel stuff on the horizon. You got a lot of stuff on the horizon, man. I'm really excited. I don't know about you.
Oh, the excitement is never ending, especially because 2025 is going to be awesome. But my mind is getting trapped up into this big tournament I have coming in this weekend, and I looked down and found some fond memories like a second ago.
Ooh,
this thing is
hold that up closer.
Yeah, there you go.
That puppy up there. Oh yeah. There you go. Now you guys got the juice for this weekend. Go beat Andy.
I mean, from the paint being gone, you'll never guess what color it is, but it is. Yeah. And you're a prick. And the show is over.
And he's gone. We've lost Andy forever.
No, really, it is. I don't know why I picked up this color, and I think it was because it looked like a goby like 4 or 5 years ago, and it turned Bailey's eyes to the power of this crankbait. And last year, the day before his wedding, we went out and he smoked me on my own juice, and I was trying to catch him on other things, but
okay, big guy excuses now. Huh?
You're welcome.
Yeah. Well, it's a fun bite, man. We're definitely gonna have to do the Santa costume fishing again.
You want some fun memories? Here you go. See if it'll load up on the screen.
Oh, is that it? Hold here. Let me blow this up for you.
Yeah.
Oh nope, not me. There we go. I don't know if it'll focus, but
there's some fun crankbait memories right there.
Yeah.
And the Santa suit's getting honked at by 10,000 cars in 45 minutes. That was the most ridiculous 1 hour of fishing I think I've ever endured.
It was pretty dumb.
Yeah.
I caught a double.
Yeah.
I caught a double. I got an A-rig hung up. And then I'm like, oh, my A-rig is moving. Oh, I have 2 fish.
Yeah.
I gotta get the freaking net. I have to look and see if I still have that photo. I don't know if I do.
So
I hope
dumb.
I do.
I have it on my phone.
It was fun. It was a great time. We have one of our goals for the future, I guess, here, especially next year, is to bring some more fishing content to you guys. Obviously, Andy has his own YouTube channel, which is great, which you guys should tune into. You can learn a lot there.
Yeah,
being the bait junkie that he is. If you like to watch kayak fishing and an idiot not catch fish like me, I have my own personal channel as well. But we would like to bring some more collaboration content to you guys.
You could be a little more humble. I'm just
that I suck?
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I feel like I got my point across that I suck.
Just be more humble, bud.
Okay, I suck really bad. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. If you want to see a guy not know how to cast and just sucks all the way around and what not to do, that's my channel for you. But either way, what we're trying to say is Andy and I want to put up more fishing content together on Serious Angler for you guys. So, well, folks, I appreciate y'all. Make sure you guys check out all the links below that can take advantage of our partners and saving money. We got great discounts to Hobie Eyewear. If you're looking to get, I don't know if people seen, but the boat prices are falling and falling fast. If you're looking to get into one, call the folks at Rec Lending. They can really hook you up when it comes to getting a price that makes sense and is easy on you to be able to afford that boat of your dreams. And folks, you guys are awesome. Appreciate you for tuning in each and every week. And if you're new to the show, welcome. We hope to see y'all next week. Peace.